collective, I am the Nosy Witch and welcome back to my channel Nosy Witch Tarot, and welcome to this pick a card reading. This reading is titled What First Impression Do You Make? What is your overall vibe? So essentially this reading is going to cover the things people think about you when they first encounter you, when you first step into someone's life. So I don't know which messages are going to come out yet, but this could be in relation to strangers that encounter you on the street. It could also be the things that your friends thought of you when they first met you, the thing that your crush thought about you when they first met you, or something like that. What your partner thought about you when they first met you, just the overall first impression that you give, and the kind of energy, the vibe that you carry. So this might not necessarily be a deep dive into your personality, into you at a soul type level, because this is mainly referring to acquaintances, and perhaps, if you do have a partner now, or if you're friends with people now, this is more like what they thought of you when they first met you. So obviously now that they know you, they might have a different impression, but this is about first impressions, what people think at a sort of first glance, a first interaction, when you first meet them. This is very much all about that new energy, that first energy. This reading could also be helpful if you are curious about what colleagues think of you, like people who don't know you very well or who only know you on a surface level. It could be useful if you want to know the kind of impression that people get if you attend a job interview, so in an employment setting or something like that. We are going to cover all of that in this upcoming reading. As usual, we are going to start by you choosing from one of these 4 piles. I will go over the piles in just a moment. And then once you've made your selection, the first part of the reading will focus on us looking at a few oracle cards, and this should clarify the overarching energy. We will then, as usual, move on to the tarot portion of the reading. So your reading will be split up into 2 sections as usual. So like I say, although this reading might not explore who you are at a soul level or on a deeper level, it might be more surface level. This is sort of first impressions. What do people perceive you as at a first glance, a fleeting interaction from afar, or something like that? So you might not feel as though this reading resonates with who you truly are, and that's fine because that's not the point of the reading. So please bear that in mind. And please also bear in mind that these are collective readings. Not every single detail is going to resonate with you, and that is more than okay. If you are listening to a pile and you are finding that absolutely nothing whatsoever is resonating with you and your situation, you are more than welcome to go back and choose a different pile. If you are finding that none of the piles resonate for you, that is also okay. Maybe this reading isn't for you right now. These readings are intended to be timeless, so maybe the reading will be for you in the future. Maybe another reading and another reader is more your cup of tea right now, and that is absolutely okay. You are very welcome to come back anytime. So I would recommend you utilizing your intuition to choose the card that you are most drawn to. If for whatever reason you are feeling disconnected from your intuition today, you are more than welcome to use a random number picker online in order to pick a pile for you. With that said, let's take a closer look at each pile. So over here, we have pile 1 and the potion bottle sticker. That's pile 1 and the potion bottle sticker. Over here, we have pile 2 and the pink flower sticker. That's pile 2 and the pink flower sticker. Over here, we have pile 3 and the moth sticker. That is pile 3 and the moth sticker. And here we have pile 4 and the pajamas sticker. We have pile 4 and the pajamas sticker. Once you have chosen your pile, once you have made your selection, please feel free to go to the comments below, and I will have pinned the timestamps in the comments. I will also pop the timestamps in the description box, as well as links to any oracle or tarot decks I use in this reading today. So this reading is intended all in good fun. This is for entertainment purposes. Hopefully you find it uplifting. However, if you are finding that at any point my reading isn't the best for your well-being right now, please feel free to click off the reading. Again, you are very welcome back anytime. I am about to get started with this reading in just a moment. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone so much who has given me a like, who has commented on any of my videos so far, and who has subscribed. It all means the absolute world to me, and I just can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful. I'm just so happy that people are enjoying listening to my readings, and I'm just so happy to have you here. And with that said, if you haven't yet liked my video, if you haven't yet commented, if you want to subscribe but you haven't done yet, please feel free to do that. It would just help me so much, and it would let me know that, you're enjoying the content, that you like this style of content, and that you want it to continue. So yes, please do that when you get a chance. And without hesitation, let's get into the readings. Hi Pile 1 Collective, welcome to your reading. If you chose Pile 1 and you chose the potion bottle, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What First Impression Do You Make? What is your overall vibe? If you would like further details regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the introduction. Thank you so much to every single person who has liked my videos, who has commented, and who has subscribed so far. It really does mean the absolute world to me, and I appreciate it so much, and I just can't thank you enough. I'm really grateful for you being here. Without hesitation, I am about to get started with the reading, but just a little reminder, if you haven't subscribed to me yet, if you haven't liked my videos, if you haven't commented and you would like to, please do that. All of that would help my channel so much, and I would really appreciate it going forward. Just knowing that I'm making the kind of content that you enjoy, and just letting me know that you want to see more of this style of content. Without waffling on anymore, I am about to get started with the reading. Okay, Pile 1. So we have got Hera, let go of yesterday and move into a new cycle. I embrace my new beginnings. I embrace my new opportunities. We have Red Cage, capture. And we have Continuance, Apple. And actually, interestingly enough, obviously these two cards are from different decks, but they're both the number 26. So if you are 26 at the moment, or if the number 26 is significant for you for some reason, maybe this was an age you were when something significant happened, or just if you like that number generally, this could just be confirmation that you've chosen the right pile and this is your reading. Sorry, I'm just making sure that the cards are in frame because they weren't. So yes, now they are all in frame, which is good. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the imagery on the cards first of all, because there seems to be a significant colour theme going on. There's a lot of red here, obviously. I mean, I don't know what these are that she's holding. I thought they were apples initially upon first glance, so I thought there was some, synchronicity here, but I don't know if they're tomatoes or if they're peppers or red onions or something. I'm honestly not too sure, but the synchronicity in terms of the colour scheme, there is just a lot of red going on, it's giving me fiery energy, so fire sign energy could be significant to you. You could be an Aries, Sag, or Leo. You absolutely don't have to be. It could be like your sun, moon, rising, or just prominent placements in your chart, if not that. But that doesn't have to be the case. But it could be that upon an initial impression, people see you as appearing in fire sign energy. So they could see you as quite, outwardly confident. With this goddess card in particular, where it says, I embrace my new beginnings, I embrace my new opportunities, I think a lot of people see you as a new opportunity worthy of investment, but it also could be that upon a first impression, people see you very much as this go-getter kind of energy. People see you as the type of person who would go after what they wanted. I think outwardly, at least, you appear quite confident on the surface. At least that's how people perceive you. Remember, this is a first impression, so even if you're sat there thinking, nosy witch, I do not feel that way on the inside, I'm telling you that Pile 1, this is how people see you. They see you as this go-getter. They see you as this fiery, confident person. Maybe somebody who is quite self-assured, somebody who is quite eyes on the prize. I'm getting that phrase because I'm just looking at her eyes and it's like they're kind of boring into me, and people could see your eyes as that way. You could make quite strong eye contact with people, or your gaze could feel quite intense to certain people, or it could seem like you're able to look straight through people or something like that. I think upon a first impression, there's something about your eyes that just really draws people in that's quite alluring. I think the eye contact that you make with people is maybe quite significant to them. Obviously, I don't know whether it is to you, but I think when other people meet you, they feel trapped under your gaze because we have this capture card as well. So that's making me think that they're like a little mouse, like prey, and you're the predator. Like, not in a weird way, but more in the way of like they feel as though they can't escape your gaze, or they feel as though you read them very well and they can't really get anything past you, or something like that. So I think, the first impression that you give, it's quite fiery, but I think it's also like, I don't think people would feel comfortable lying in front of you, even strangers, even acquaintances, even colleagues. I don't think you will be the type of person that people would lie in front of, because I think they can sense your honesty, your authenticity, and I think they know that you can recognize authenticity and honesty in others. And I think they also realize that you can pick up on when people are lying or not being truthful. You can kind of scrutinize them with your gaze, you can see right through it. And I think people can really sense that about you on a first meeting. And I think sometimes it makes them feel like prey, in the sense that upon a first meeting, I think sometimes they can feel as though Pal One can just see right through me. Pal One can see to the core of what's going on, and therefore it feels like they've captured my essence, but I am not able to catch theirs. So maybe it's like you have this quiet confidence, like you don't need to say very much in order to assert your presence, in order to feel as though people are observing you or watching you. And with this hero card, where it says let go of yesterday and move into a new cycle, it very much feels as though people perceive you as somebody who doesn't hold on to grudges, somebody who doesn't hold on to resentment. It feels as though you're a person who can remain unbothered and who can relatively quickly shift into a different energy and get over anything. You can start anew, you can embrace new opportunities. It seems to other people like you are the kind of person where if there was a change of plan, it wouldn't disrupt your mindset, it wouldn't send you into emotional turmoil, or at least, this is how it's appearing on the outside. Whether you feel that way on the inside, I don't know, pal one, only you can answer that because it's not that kind of reading. But the way other people see you, they see you as, being able to adapt to change, being able to be flexible in terms of new circumstances, and being able to, yeah, adapt to whatever new opportunity is presenting itself. And, maybe other people perceive you as being the type of person to get over things quickly. And again, this might not reflect how you actually feel on the inside, but I don't know. It could just be like if you're with a group of people and they don't know you necessarily very well, it could be that, you're at the bar with this group of people and somebody bumps into you at the bar and there's a bit of an altercation, and it could be something that, if somebody else were dealing with it, they would let it kind of take over the night, or they might let it ruin the night. They might keep talking about it. They might, bring up how their night is ruined because of this altercation that happened or something like that. But people perceive you as very much not being like that. You are in the opposite energy. You can really remain unbothered. You don't let it get you down. Whether or not you are thinking about the incident that's happened on the inside, whether you reflect on it later, again, I don't know, but it just comes across as though, you can let go of things. You're like, well, whatever, that happened, but, we're doing this now. We're shifting on to the next thing. We're entering a new phase. We're not focusing on that shit that just happened with that other person. I don't care about them anymore. I've let that go. I've moved on. I've started a new cycle. Let's embrace this new beginning. It's very much giving that kind of energy. With new beginnings and new opportunities showing up, it's making me feel as though people might perceive you as somebody quite adventurous. They might perceive you as somebody who is well traveled. If you have a social media account and you have, some acquaintances who follow you on there, they might see you posting and believe that you have an adventurous spirit about you. You are not afraid to explore new things. Maybe they think you are quite cultured. Again, it's giving kind of Sagittarius energy, so maybe that is significant, but it doesn't have to be. I do just overall think that people view you as very strong and resilient, able to get over things quickly, able to move on, able to put the past behind you and embrace new opportunities as and when they come. I think people see you as quite strong in your ability to move on from certain situations. So, let's say you go through a breakup or something like that. On the inside, you could be really hurt, but I don't think on the outside you're letting that show. I think people perceive you as just being able to get on with your life and just being able to grow. And it seems as though, from an external perspective, that you have let go of that situation. I don't think you would ever let anybody see that they had got you down. I don't think that you're the type to, post about how down you are on social media, wanting attention or something like that. I think you just go out and live your best life, and people see you doing this and they think like, wow, pal one just went through this huge breakup. With if that was anyone else, it would shatter them, it would really get them down. But pal one is just going out and living their best life and really getting on with things. And I think this is something that people really admire about you. I think they find you quite courageous. They know that it's going to take a lot to get you down because you are so resilient, or that's how they perceive you as being. With the red cage capture card coming through, I'm very much getting that you capture a lot of attention upon an initial meeting. So, this could be in relation to strangers, literally, people who see you on the street, on the bus, walking around, just living your day to day life. I think people really notice you. You capture their attention because there is something quite enigmatic about you. And it could be this eye contact thing, like you having attractive eyes, but I think potentially pile one, if somebody glances at you, you could encourage a lot of double takes. So people glance at you, but they don't just glance at you once. They turn around to look back. They want to make, that eye contact again, or they want to just look at you again. You capture attention. But I've also got something about you capturing people's hearts. So it could be that, when you meet people, if you have like friends of friends that you are introduced to, it could be that you are the kind of person that on an initial impression, you just give the vibe of somebody that everybody wants to be around. And I think, if you have a friend of a friend, it's like they want to become your friend. They want to capture you. For some reason, I'm getting like, it could be because it is the red cage, but I'm getting like people want to capture you and take you and put you in a cage. Not literally, by the way, like we're not having Joe from You showing up in this reading, by the way. That's not what this is about. It's not in that kind of way. It's more like metaphorical, because people want to capture your energy because they want that energy for themselves. They want to enjoy it. You're the type of person where, like, if your friend introduced you to another friend, after you'd left, that other friend would be saying, I just love Pal One's vibe. Like, they are so much fun. I love hanging around with them. I'm going to add them on Instagram. I'm going to ask if they want to hang out with me as well, if we could be friends, because I am just really clicking with them. I'm loving their vibe so much, like that kind of thing. It could be that upon first impression, Pal One, there's just something about you that does really capture, yeah, like people's hearts. And, not just in the way that they're attracted to you, although I definitely think that that is a prominent theme with you capturing people's attentions. It is probably due to the way you physically look and people glancing at you and stuff like that. However, I just think it's like people love spending time with you. When they're with you, they see you as, this go getter, this person who's really fun, this person who can bring a lot of light to an event. And I think they just kind of want to submerge themselves in your energy. They want to be in your energy a little bit longer. With this continuation card, oh, continuance, sorry, I think they want things to continue with you. So it's like when they meet you, and I guess this could be in terms of like dating as well. If you, go on a date with someone, it's like they want it to continue. They definitely see the potential in you. You are somebody who they would want to invest in. They don't just want to go on one date, they want to take you out on another date. So it could be that, if you have been dating, after the first date, people text you quite quickly and they try to arrange another date because they want to be in your energy longer. There is a lot of potential that they see in you. They want to kind of capture your heart the way that you have captured theirs and things like that. So the thing about you being attractive as well and the apples showing up, I'm getting the phrase like they want to take a bite out of you. So it could be that, strangers, and maybe this is unwanted some of the time, but maybe sometimes you are sexualized and people see you as this juicy apple that they just want to take a bite out of or something like that. I'm getting something potentially about, if you've had a partner in the past, you've had a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I'm getting something about your boyfriend or girlfriend's friend getting a crush on you or something like that. And with this capture card, don't worry, again, I'm not saying that they want to physically capture you, but it's making me think of like, if you were out with your boyfriend or girlfriend and their friend who had a crush on you was there, it makes me feel like their first impression is that they have a crush on you as well, and they're a bit disappointed that they can't capture you and get you on your own because they know that they will only ever be able to meet up with you when you're with your other half, and they just want to spend some time alone with you because they might be crushing on you as well, they might be having feelings, they might see you as the juicy apple, they might be quite attracted to you. So I don't know, that's quite a specific message that I'm getting. But if that has happened to you in the past, if you have been in like an awkward circumstance, because I'm not saying that you like felt the same way, or even if you did, I'm not saying that you would act on it or anything like that. This isn't about you. This is just about other people's thoughts on you. So if you have ever been in a situation or you have ever wondered why like your boyfriend's or girlfriend's friend was being a bit weird with you, it could be because, when they met you, they had a crush on you. So you could be like, oh, like, why don't they want to hang out with me? If I ask them if we all want to do something together, they always avoid it. Maybe they don't like me or something like that. It could be because they have feelings for you. I don't know how many people that will apply to. It could be quite specific just for a small group of people, but that was coming through, so I just wanted to say it. In an employment setting, this capture, people's desire to capture you, your energy, could work to your benefit because I think in a career setting, you give the first impression that you, again, are somebody very worth investing in. Potential employers might want to capture you or capture your energy because they know that you have a lot of brilliant ideas and that you are someone who is worthwhile investing in. That's the impression that you give off, Pal One. So this could work to your advantage, like if you picked up a job role and it was a temporary role or something with the chance of staying on at that workplace. It could be that because of the first impression you give, people want to keep you, like they want to capture you. The people who you have been working for are very impressed with you. You have given a very good first impression, and they want to keep you on at their place. They want to keep you in your role and they want to encourage you to develop your skill set further within that role. So it could be that, like temporary jobs turn into permanent jobs and things like that. I think it's just that people, once they are in your energy, once they kind of get a taste of that juicy apple, not in a sexual way, just in like terms of your energy, I really don't think that they want to let go. And it could be the same for friends of friends who you meet up with. It's like a lot of times you might have had like a friend of a friend, not just being like, oh, Power One was nice, but yeah, I'll see them whenever next I'm hanging out with my friend. It's like they want to be your friend as well. So they want to add you, they want to talk to you, they want to make plans with you, they want to hang out because you give such a strong first impression. And I think it's a very positive first impression, to be quite honest. It could be that you do get quite a lot of unwanted attention because with this hero coming up, I know that one of the kind of traits, I suppose, associated with her in terms of that mythology is about her driving people insane. And I'm not saying that, you drive people insane and that is due to a behavior that you are participating in. I think it could just be that, a lot of strangers and acquaintances, people who you bump into, are attracted to you. And again, because I think you have this confident, self assured energy, but it could be more of like a quiet confidence for some of you. I think you drive people insane because they want to get to know you, they want more of you, they want to be in your energy more, but sometimes they are not able to access that or they don't understand how to go about accessing you in that way because maybe actually you are quite private. So it's like you are so sort of fun and lively on the surface, but you might be one of those people who you are relatable, like you reveal things about yourself and it makes people intrigued by you, but they don't really know the real you. And I guess that is what first impressions are about. So it makes sense, but it just makes me lean towards saying that you might drive people insane by them just wanting to have access to more of you, but maybe not always being able to get it or not knowing how to go about doing that. Hera also had the ability to shapeshift. So, again, I think this furthers what I say in terms of when we talked about you being quite adaptable. Even if you don't feel that way on the inside, I think upon a first impression, people see you as being able to adapt to all kinds of situations. There was also something about Hera having the ability to turn people into animals. So I think that comes with the territory of like driving people insane. And I think this is in relation mostly to people who are like sexually attracted to you or romantically attracted to you in some way. But it could be like it's just getting me the image of you turning the people who are attracted to you, into like wild animals. They're normally, quite controlled, but there is something about you because you are physically attractive that, makes people turn a bit wild. They're like scrambling all over themselves trying to get to you, like they are desperate for food. They are an animal desperate for food, and you are the food, or something like that. I don't mean to keep comparing you to food, Pawan. I'm not trying to be objectifying here. And if people do perceive you as quite confident and also quite physically attractive, it could be, pal one, that you do unfortunately spark quite a bit of jealousy. And I think, like, sometimes because you are such a fun person to be around, and because people really love being in your energy and they like to try and capture your attention and spend more time with you, it could be that if you have sort of any toxic friends or people in your life, whether this be a partner, like a romantic partner, or just people you're friends with, it could be that your romantic partner doesn't want to introduce you to their friends, or your friends don't want to introduce you to their other friends, because I think they are quite possessive of your energy, and they are worried that, because so many people want to spend time with you and because so many people like you, I think they are worried that, you will move on to someone else, or that their friends will like you better than they like them, or something like that. So it could be that, if you have been left out of events and you have been concerned about why that has happened, and you have thought, oh, does this group of people just not like me? I think it does just come from a place of you shining so brightly that you incite jealousy in other people, which is, quite unfortunate. But I think the first impression you often give, because people are so captured by you, is that, you can really have anything you want in terms of like a partner or people to be friends with, people to hang out with. And I don't always think people who are insecure really appreciate this. But at the same time, Pawan, that's not your problem, and it's not your fault that, you do shine so brightly and you are so attractive. Okay, that is what I am getting for the first portion of your reading, Pawan. We are going to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion of your reading. Hi, Pawan Collective. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's just get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, pile one. We have Strength in reverse. We have Three of Swords. We have the World. We have the Seven of Cups. We have the Four of Coins. We have the Lovers. We have the Seven of Wands. And we have the Emperor. Okay, so one of the first messages that I'm getting for you, pal one, with this Strength in reverse, is that you make people feel weak, or you make people feel weak at the knees, but it's not in a negative way. It's not due to anything you're doing. I think just the energy you show up in, that sort of quiet confidence, that self-assured, fun, go-getter energy, that kind of fiery energy, if that applies, I think it can make certain people feel lack within themselves. So this could manifest in the way of, in the oracle portion of the reading, we were talking about how, sometimes your friend might not invite you to a gathering with other friends, and it's because they're worried that their other friends will like you more or something like that. I think your first impression, because you have that kind of effect on such a lot of people, it can make others around you, when they're dealing with their own insecurity, feel a little bit weak, feel not in their confident self, because they perceive you as bringing so much to the table. So this could incite a lot of jealousy, or it could be that, like, I don't know, let's say that you and your friendship group are acquaintances with somebody, like friendly acquaintances or something like that. Let's say you all attend the same college or university, so you and your friends are like friendly with this other person, and let's say this other person doesn't know you all very well, but they throw a party and they invite all of your friends, but they don't invite you, and it just feels a little bit standoffish. It feels like, what have I done to offend this person? But I think it's because, this person sees you as so abundant, sees you as so physically attractive, sees you as such a strong and lively and confident energy, that they don't want you coming to that party and detracting attention from them. They don't want you showing them up. They don't want the attention to be on you when it should be on them. I think it's because they see so much abundance within you that it incites a lot of jealousy in them. And it is really unfortunate, because I can see, Power One, that could make you feel as though you're being deliberately left out of things. And I think sometimes it is deliberate on this person's side, because whether they're conscious of it or not, I think it does come from a place of jealousy. You could make people feel as though, people could treat you as though sometimes they are a bit off with you. Like, let's say you're talking to a customer service person or something like that, like you're talking to somebody behind a till at a shop, let's say. It doesn't have to be this specific example, but this is the one that's popping into my head. So, like, obviously people who work behind tills, or people who work in any customer service type job, I think, that can be a thankless job, and I understand how it can, like, wear people down, and I don't think that they should have to go out of their way to be extra nice to anyone, especially customers who try to treat them badly. So this isn't a dig at, like, customer service people or anything like that. I've been one myself, so I understand what a thankless job it is, and that sometimes, like, the day just kind of grinds you down when you're used to dealing with demanding, entitled people. Trust me, I understand that. But I'm getting the image of, like, maybe you going out of your way to be nice to the customer service person because you know that they have a hard job or something like that. So it could be that, like, you and your friend are both talking to the customer service person, or like your friend deals with them, they get their purchases, the customer service person, they have a chat, the customer service person is really nice to them, they're laughing, they're smiling, and then when it gets to you, you are being extra nice to the customer service person, but it feels as though they're being a bit off with you, or they're giving you a little bit of a weird side eye. They're just not engaging with you as much as they did with your friend or something like that. And you feel as though, like, wow, like, I've tried my hard to be extra nice to this person, and I just feel like they're being off with me, or they're showing up in terms of me in this different energy, and I really don't understand it. Like, what have I done? But I think, it does come from jealousy. So it could be that people are a little bit jealous, they're a little bit intimidated, they feel their own lack, they feel quite insecure, and in your presence, it just makes them kind of shrink a bit. So I don't even always think it's like a conscious thing. The example we gave of someone not inviting you to a party, it's not always a conscious thing, but because you show up in so much abundant energy, it just sometimes makes certain people who aren't on that same level, it makes them shrink back a little bit. It makes them become like a weaker version of themselves when they're around you, because the first impression that you give is that you just have so much to offer, and sometimes it's just a little bit intimidating to people. But at the same time, like, on that same note, as much as certain people, and I just wanted to clarify that for you, Power One, in case you ever did get concerned, because I think you are a nice person, and I think you try your best to be kind and be polite to people, and sometimes it could feel like people aren't always that way with you. So I just wanted to clarify that for you, in case you were wondering, like, why do people approach me in this kind of energy? I think the first impression you give is quite intimidating, and it does make people feel a little bit insecure and a little bit not fully confident within themselves. But on that same note, the people who match your energy, the people who are secure within themselves, the people who do feel more confident in themselves, it's literally the opposite. Like, it's literally what we were saying in the oracle portion of the reading, where like your friend introduces you to their friend, and their friend suddenly wants to get to know you. They suddenly want to be your best friend as well. People want to gravitate towards you. People want to just be in your energy. I'm not going to repeat myself too much on that, because I know we did talk about it in the oracle, and I know that I do repeat myself quite a lot. But yeah, that is the energy I'm getting. I think people just, they want to spend a lot of time with you. So for as many people as there might be who might be a bit off with you, and you're like, why are you approaching me with that energy? Please remember, it is likely due to jealousy and intimidation. But as much as you have that, you also have an equal, if not more, amount of people wanting to be your friend, wanting to date you, wanting to have you as their employee or something like that. So obviously it just depends on who you approach. Sometimes you're going to approach people in the world who aren't fully healed. They haven't done their own work. Are any of us fully healed? Probably not. But yeah, like, you're going to approach people like that. But I think for as many people as there are who are a little bit standoffish with you, there are so many who love you and love your energy and want to be in it. I think, Pal One, you can sometimes give the impression with this Three of Swords of being a little bit of a heartbreaker. And again, I don't think it's necessarily due to anything that you're doing, but I think it comes down to, this sense of connection that people really feel with you with this Lovers card, this sense of unity. I think you're the kind of person, because you can adapt to so many situations, because you can connect with anyone, because you can kind of shape shift, like when we got that Hero card in the Oracle reading, because you can move your energy and become what somebody needs you to be in that moment, whilst simultaneously still managing to be authentic and show up in this honest and confident energy. I think so many people just feel a sense of unity and connection with you, as we said. That is the thing that, makes people more curious about you, and it makes them want to establish a deeper connection with you. So like acquaintances that you meet, it's never usually just like they meet you that one night and they don't think of you again. Even if, they don't reach out to you, it's because they might be too shy. Like, they might think it's weird, or they might be a little bit intimidated. They might think, oh, would Pal One think it was weird if I added them on Instagram or something like that, and they don't do it. But I think it's very rare that they would just not think of you at all. I think you leave a lasting impression on people. And even if it's just a case of like, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic or that they were attracted to you, although I think that does happen to you quite a lot. But it could be that, people think, oh, like, I loved going out with Pal One and their friends last night. It was so much fun. I'd love to get to know Pal One and hang out with them more. Like, I think we would be really good friends. We just click, or something like that. But on the other side of it being more to do with attraction, it could be that, people who are attracted to you really see potential in this being a romantic connection, and, they are thinking about you in that way, and they want to reach out to you in a more sort of flirty, let's make this romantic way. So it could be that they perceive you as a heartbreaker if in turn it seems like you're not interested. Or for some of you, it could be that a lot of people kind of develop these crushes on you quite quickly because they connect with you and they feel like, wow, like, I've never had this kind of connection that I have with Pal One before on that first initial meeting. And then they find out that you've actually got a partner or something like that. So it feels like you've been a heartbreaker in that way. Or it could be that they perceive you as, being able to move on from things, because obviously we got a little bit coming through in the oracle about you being able to let go of situations and things like that. So it could be because people perceive you as having like a strong cutoff game, or being able to move on from things relatively quickly in comparison to other people. It could be that they see you as a heartbreaker in the sense of like, if you have sort of like a nasty breakup with somebody or something like that, it could be that the other person is really, desperately trying to get your attention on social media or like posting things. And because you don't do that, because you act so unbothered, because it comes across as you are very adaptable, like, people at first glance just think like, oh, Pal One is so unbothered and things like that. And it can make you come across as a bit, of like a heartbreaker, because they think that you're not bothered. Whether you are or you aren't, you can come across as very like, I don't care, unbothered. I've moved on from that situation. I think sometimes, Pal One, you leave a lasting impression on other people who don't always leave a lasting impression on you. And I really don't mean that in the way of like, you just connect with people and then leave them or anything like that. I think, when people interact with you, they're just not used to connecting with somebody on your level. So it could be simply a case of like you are actually empathetic towards people when you're discussing personal things with them, or maybe you actually listen to them and they've never been listened to before. So if you meet someone on a night out or something like that, because you show up in this energy with everyone of like being empathetic and listening and, being who you need to be to adapt to that situation, it could be that it doesn't mean as much to you as it does to some of the people who meet you. And I don't mean that in a negative way towards you, but I think it's just like, if someone is talking to you on a night out and you've just met them and they haven't had somebody listen to them for a long time or ever, it could be that because you're the first person who's actually, sat down and listened to them, other people don't want to know or they're like shutting it down. It could be that they then see so much potential in you and they feel like whole now that they've met you. And with the world card, it's like they feel this sense of completion, like, oh wow, like I've met this Pal One person tonight, they're amazing, like I can't wait to reach out to them, to text them, to see if they want to do something again. And you might not be thinking of it in that way, because I think a lot of people, when you meet them, they get this sense with you. So this could happen to you quite a lot. And you might be like, you might have to shut it down, obviously in a kind and gentle way, but you might have to be like careful in terms of letting people down, because that might be something that you have had to get used to, like letting people down gently. And it could be like they could feel a bit of heartbreak over that, because they might think, well, I thought me and Pal One had such a connection, but I've tried to ask them on this date, or I've tried to add them on Instagram, and they've not accepted me, or they've said no to this date, or they don't feel that way. Like, that is so strange. I thought we really connected. Because I think that you can just relate to a lot of people. I think people interact with you and they see you as like everything they've been looking for, not necessarily always romantic, but as a friend, or even like if it's a job offer, it could be that you make such a good impression at an interview or something like that, and your potential employer is like, yes, they ticked all the boxes, I'm going to ask them if they want this job. And then by the time they ring you to offer the job, you're like, well, I found something else with better pay. And the employer is almost like a bit disappointed, like, oh no, like you were everything we were looking for. And I thought you would be perfect for this role, but it turns out you found something else. It's just that kind of vibe. I think upon a first impression of Pal One, because you do, intimidate certain people, I think it leads certain people to not reaching out to you sometimes, like after they've spent time with you, if this is like a friend of a friend, or somebody who has a romantic interest in you but doesn't really know you too well. I think because you do come across as such a strong and confident person, it's like, it paralyzes some people, it makes them unable to take action in a significant way. But I think a lot of people spend time sort of daydreaming about you and fantasizing with this Seven of Cups. It makes me think that people really think about the potential, like once they've spent a moment with you, it's like we said in the oracle, once they've had a bite of that apple, they can't get enough. But sometimes they don't really know how to proceed with interacting with you again or setting up a potential opportunity for the two of you to meet again. So they're just stuck in their heads thinking about it sometimes. So even if this person doesn't reach out, I don't think this is a case of, people forgetting about you easily. I think that is the word. You can be unforgettable to people, even if they've only met you once. It's like, I don't know, I know I keep giving this example, but let's say it's a friend of a friend. Even if they haven't made any steps to like become friends with you themselves, it's like they still think of you in a fond way. And I know, like, if we meet friends of friends, sometimes months later, after you've met this person, your friend will bring them up and be like, oh, Jane, who you met at XYZ event, and you're like, nope, I have no idea who that is. And then they have to describe the friend to you or show them your social media or something, and then you're like, oh yeah, like I know who that is. I don't think this is like that. I mean, maybe that's just me because I have a really bad memory, but I think in terms of you, like if your friend like, let's say you're Jane, and if your friend said to their other friend, like, oh yeah, like I'm thinking of inviting Jane, this other person is like, oh my gosh, I love Jane. Jane is so much fun. Yes, bring Jane to the party. Like, it's that kind of vibe. People remember that they had a good time with you in whatever way that may be. With this Four of Coins and the Seven of Wands, it's making me feel as though, you know, some people can be quite possessive of you upon first meeting you. So it's giving me the impression of like if you are out and about with your friends and another group of friends approach you, it's like there could be a lot of people from that group who have a romantic interest in you, and you are the one that they want to talk to. They want to try and capture your attention. And it could be that, you know, when you get talking to somebody, they develop such a quick, like, crush on you, such a strong connection so immediately that, you know, even if like you weren't wanting it to be anything serious, like even if it's literally just the two of you flirting and like you getting to know different people, it's like one of their friends could then try and get to know you, and this first person becomes very possessive of you and your energy because they're like, no, pal one is mine, like me and pal one, we're getting along. Meanwhile, you're kind of thinking like, well, I wasn't really tied down to everybody. I just wanted to kind of have a good time and get to know different people, and I might not have even wanted to be romantic with anyone. Like, nobody's saying that anything's going to happen, but it's like this person has maybe already claimed you. You sort of make people possessive over you quite quickly. More so with the Four of Coins, but obviously with the Seven of Wands, it's like you could make people protective of you quite quickly. You could have like an impression that you give. You could have something about you that makes people feel as though they want to protect you or they want to stand up for you. And I think it is just because you manage to develop these connections with people quite quickly that at least on their side, they feel as though like pal one is kind of mine now, and you know, I'm going to look after pal one. You could have the kind of first impression that makes people want to take you under their wing, even though I don't think you need that. But it could just be the kind of energy you give off that makes people really want to look after you and nurture you sometimes. Not necessarily saying that you need it, because I think, you know, it is coming through that you are quite independent, but yeah, like I'm not 100% sure how to explain it, but it could just be that you incite this feeling of protectiveness in people. So even though you are a strong person and you very much don't need anyone to come and save you or anything like that, it's like some people get the urge to. And I think it is because, you know, they develop crushes on you quite fast, or, you know, you just mean a lot to people quite fast. And it's giving me this impression of like you making a friend in the girls' toilets or something like that. Like you give another girl a compliment and then you're talking, and then like you carry on talking, going out to the bar or something like that. And then it could be that like somebody bumps into you and this other girl is suddenly like your best friend and at your side. And even if it was an accident, this girl's like, how dare you bump into pal one? Like they suddenly sort of develop this protective streak over you. They try to defend you, even though you don't necessarily need it. Like you'd be fine to put that other person in their place. But it's like, you know, anyone you meet, you just establish this quite strong connection with quite quickly. And it just makes them quite protective over you, to be honest, pal one. I'm also getting that like with the Emperor as well. You know, it could be that you make people upon a first impression want to stand up into their Emperor energy, like you encourage boldness. It could also be that people see you as very much being in control. And I think this comes into play with what we said about, like, you know, you not seeking attention on social media or things like that, you just acting unbothered. It comes across as though your emotions are very under control, whether they appear that way on the outside or not. Like, I'm not saying that's how you feel, but that's just how people perceive you. They perceive you as very disciplined as well. Maybe they perceive you as having a disciplined exercise regime or something like that. But I think they see you as this strong, confident leader. But at the same time, they also see you as somebody who they want to protect and somebody who they really want to look after and take under their wing. That is what I am getting for you, Pal One. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did like the reading, please give the video a like, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you, Pal 1, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. If you chose this pink flower sticker and you chose Pal 2, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What First Impression Do You Make? What is your overall vibe? So this reading is mainly going to be focused on the kind of impression you make on strangers, I guess, people who have just met you, people who have just entered your life. What overall vibe do you give off? What is the energy you put out? What do people think of you generally when they first meet you? And what is the impression that you make? So if you would like further details regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the introduction. But as usual, we are going to start by looking at a couple of oracle cards, and then we are going to move on to the tarot portion of the reading. Little disclaimer that not every single detail is going to resonate, and that is okay. Not every single detail has to resonate for this to still be your pile. However, if you are finding that absolutely nothing is resonating, please feel free to go back and choose a different pile. Or if none of the piles are resonating, maybe that is not your reading today, and that is okay. These readings are timeless, and you are welcome back anytime, at any point in your life when the reading might fit a little bit more. So please bear all that in mind. I won't waffle on for too much longer, but I just want to thank every single person who has given me a like, every single person who's commented, and every single person who's subscribed. And if you haven't done that so far, please feel free to like the video, comment, and subscribe. It would just let me know that you are enjoying the kind of content that I put out and that you want to see more of it. And all of that would really help me so, so much going forward in terms of growing this channel. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate you being here and listening. And without hesitation, let's just get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, Pal 2. Okay, Pal 2, so we have the pink flower sticker, and we have Aphrodite. I welcome love. I am deserving of self-love. I allow myself to feel love for myself. I am the embodiment of my own beautiful. We have Rosie Bonnet, Define, number 32. And we have number 14, Divination, Chives. What I actually find so interesting, Pal 2, and I feel like I said this in the other pile, but the colour scheme going on in these cards is just, it all feels very synchronized, and I know it did with Pile 1 as well. In Pile 1, we kind of got some fiery colours, some reds, some sort of oranges, and here we're getting a lot of pink, so maybe the colour pink is significant to you in some way, maybe that's one of your favourite colours. Obviously, pink can sometimes be associated with femininity, so maybe you give off an overall quite feminine vibe when people first meet you, whether or not that is your gender identity or whether, you know, that's how you see yourself on the inside. The first impression that you might give out is one of a very sort of feminine, gentle, delicate, soft nature. It's giving sort of like soft girl energy or sort of Barbie energy in a way. If you went to see the Barbie movie or anything like that, it's just giving those kind of vibes. And you know, Pal 2, with this Aphrodite card, I know that we pulled that card when we did the last Greek goddess reading. I think we pulled this card. Well, I know we pulled this card because I remember having to put the tapes across her chest, obviously because YouTube doesn't appreciate boobs. I don't know why, you know, regardless of your sexuality, I think we can all agree on the one fact that boobs are great, but nevertheless, I'm not allowed to show them here, so that is why there is the tape across her chest. But yeah, we got that in a previous reading, so it would be interesting to know if you saw that previous reading. I think it was Why Do People Find You Attractive, a Greek Goddess edition. It would be interesting to know whether you chose the pile that Aphrodite showed up in then. Because I am getting kind of that similar energy of, you know, people seeing you as, first of all, very beautiful, okay, with the Aphrodite card. I mean, that speaks for itself. I think from a first impression, people see you very much as somebody who takes care of themselves, somebody who has a lot of self love, maybe somebody who takes a lot of care in terms of their physical appearance, their aesthetic. Maybe you have a very particular aesthetic that it looks like a lot of work has gone into. Maybe on your end, you're thinking, well, no, like this is just how I get ready in the morning. I don't put like a particular effort into looking this way, but people perceive you as coming across as very put together, coming across as very elegant. And again, I'm getting this sense of femininity. Also, because this is 32, the number 32 could be significant to you. This could be an age you are now or an age you are approaching. It doesn't have to be. Take the specific details as they resonate. Don't take the ones that don't. But yeah, I definitely think you come across as somebody who is actually physically stunning, like very physically beautiful, very feminine. You have this softness about you. I think people perceive you as having a very nurturing side, a very loving side. I think people would see you and assume that you are very attractive, like these things about yourself. I think they might assume that you are quite confident, even if you don't feel that way on the inside. It could be that you're somebody who doesn't get compliments all the time because people assume that you already know this and that you have a lot of self love and that you are already aware of the good things about you. And it's interesting as well, like all the imagery of flowers. Obviously, we've got the petals here, and you picked the pink flower sticker. There is just a lot of pink coming through on these cards. So, again, it's making me think of femininity, but it's also making me think of maybe people perceiving you as more delicate than what you actually are. So this could be in terms of like if you have been through a lot and you are very resilient, people might perceive you as somebody who is potentially more delicate or who hasn't been through some of the things that you've been through or something like that because they see you as quite gentle. And I don't think based on a first impression, people always realize all the things that you've had to go through because you look after yourself so well. That is obvious from an external perspective that you take care of yourself, you might nurture your appearance, the way you carry yourself. There's something very elegant and feminine about it, something very soft. But it could be that sometimes people interpret you as more delicate than what you actually are, and people approach you sometimes too gently, maybe not knowing everything that you have actually been through, and you have been through a lot more than what they would have originally thought. So I don't know, it's just giving me the impression of somebody reading something online about a true crime case or something like that, and then them not wanting to talk in front of you about this true crime case because it would offend you or something like that. It's something about maybe them perceiving you as more delicate or more easily offended than what you actually are sometimes. And you could be sat there thinking to yourself, I don't know why you're trying to hide information from me. I watch true crime all the time. I probably know more about true crime than you, so I don't get why you think that would offend me in some way or whether my ears are too delicate to hear it. I don't know why you would think that way, but sometimes people do. And I think as well, I'm getting the phrase like angelic. So I think sometimes people see you as more innocent than maybe what you actually are or something like that. So it feels like they can't always be too blunt in terms of the stories they tell. It's like due to their own projections, they sometimes feel as though they have to hold some of this stuff back because they think, oh, well, pal too, like this is just too much for them to hear. I don't want to sort of offend them. I don't want to crush their spirit in some way because they see you as this really light, angelic being. And like, I'm not saying you're not. Like, I think you have a lot of love and light to spread, and that is the way that people see you. But I think also you have encountered darkness, and I think you've been through a lot. You've had to be resilient. I don't think you're necessarily scared of exploring the dark side of life in the way that sometimes people perceive you as being. I think that's it. I think sometimes with this Define card as well, it's like people put you in a box. People can characterize you as one thing, and they might project some of their beliefs onto you. And because you might look a certain way, if you do look very feminine or you are just very physically attractive, it's like people could try to define you one way of like that's all you are, but I think you have a lot of depth and a lot going on under the surface, which not everyone who first meets you understands. I don't think they understand, and that's based on their own limited worldview. It's based on their limited perspective, because I think you have a lot more to offer than what first initially appears on the surface. You know, if people encounter you, they might think, wow, like Paltu, that is an attractive person, that is a beautiful person, but they might not realize how intelligent you are. They might not realize that you too have encountered the darkness, that you have done your shadow work, that you have had to do a lot of healing. They might just see you as this person who loves themselves, is self-confident, who shows up in this soft feminine energy and has never had to deal with those shadow aspects or the darker themes that come up in life, when really you actually have. And if they took the time to get to know you, that is something I think they would realize, because I do think you have a lot more depth to you than what first appears on the surface. But again, you know, this is about first encounters, so I have to be honest about sometimes how people view you when they first meet you, and that is very much the message that's coming through. I just keep getting the phrase that there is more to you than what meets the eye. So with this rosy bonnet, I keep being drawn to this card and define. I mean, again, it comes back to the thing we said about people potentially maybe wanting to put you into boxes. And I actually think, you know, this is a very human thing. We all make judgments about people based on what we can see externally. I think sometimes we do this subconsciously, we do it without even realizing, and you know, it's something that we're all guilty of. But I think unfortunately, you might have experienced some people treating you in a way that is in line with their own projection, rather than treating you based on what you are actually bringing to the table in terms of your intellect and in terms of that deeper side of yourself. So obviously one example of that could be, you know, similar to what we just said, if you are an attractive person, in particular, if you are feminine, it could be that people make judgments about you based on this. You know, unfortunately, there is still a lot of misogyny that goes on, even in today's society. I think we know that. So it's like if you are an attractive female, like, you know, that stereotype about blondes, like dumb blondes or something like that. I'm not saying that you have to be a blonde. I think it just goes to show the misogyny that still occurs when people use phrases like that. But just being a female generally, if you are perceived as conventionally attractive, it's like you're not allowed to have hobbies sometimes. So what I mean by that is, like, if you are a female and you are attractive and you post online about like the gaming you do and things like that, you'll get comments from misogynists. And misogynists aren't just men, by the way, but you'll get comments from people with a misogynistic attitude saying things like, oh, you're not a real gamer and you're just doing this to try and attract people and blah, blah, blah. You don't really game. You're not a true gamer. You only do this because maybe you present yourself in a more feminine way. So you constantly have this attitude and vitriol thrown at you because you are not conforming to what people define you as in this very narrow box. And I think that upsets their own sense of self. That upsets their worldview, and I think sometimes they can't cope with it. So it doesn't have to be that specific example of you being like a girl gamer or something and people having a bit of an attitude with you to do with that. But it could just be that you are the kind of person who sometimes receives unsolicited comments about your appearance, or people reading too much into you and making assumptions about you based on the way that you present yourself. So I don't know, if you leave a comment to something and it's just meant to be like a light-hearted comment that you leave on Instagram in response to a reel or TikTok or something like that, it could be that you get replies like, oh, I can tell that you would put a comment like this because of your profile picture. Also, you know, the kinds that I mean, like people assuming that they know everything about your beliefs, your political stance, your opinions based on one simple sentence that, like a joke you have made or something. You know the kinds of people that I mean. And I think we are doing a disservice to ourselves when we lump people into categories like that. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, it is completely avoidable. There's definitely been times where I have seen a comment on somebody's Instagram and I have been curious and I've clicked on the profile of the person because I've been like, who would leave a comment like this? And then I have read something in their bio where I'm like, yeah, that's who would leave a comment like this. So I've done the same thing myself, and I'm also guilty of kind of lumping people into categories. And I think sometimes certain stereotypes can be somewhat accurate, in particular when it comes to extreme political views and things like that. But I think this comes more from, what that person is saying, what they are verbalizing, what they are putting out there, rather than how that person actually looks. Sometimes when you do click the profile picture of somebody who has had a kind of interesting opinion, let's say, sometimes when you do look at them, you do think, oh yeah, like I can see how you would make that opinion. But sometimes that is unfair, okay? Sometimes it can be unfounded. You don't always know what somebody's opinion is going to be based on how they look. It should be more about the things that they say, the things that they are verbalizing, the causes that they are interested in supporting, the causes that they are interested in not supporting. It shouldn't all be based on looks, and we are all guilty of thinking that, but it feels like, Pal 2, you have sometimes been the victim of people making more assumptions about you than usual, than they might do for others, due to perhaps your good looks or something like that. Your femininity. I hate the vitriol that there are for sort of feminine activities. If you are interested in like makeup or skincare or doing your nails or something like that, it could be that people make assumptions about your level of intelligence, and that's not fair, because actually you are intelligent, you do have a lot of depth, and perhaps this is something that people don't always realize because they are very concerned with trying to fit you into this narrow box, trying to squeeze you into their idea of what somebody who looks like this would be like. And I think sometimes it can be to make themselves feel better. So, if people are interested in you in a romantic context, and if they try with you in that way and if they get rejected, it could be that they then kind of say, oh well, I didn't want Pal 2 anyway, because yeah, Pal 2 is good looking, but what else do they have to offer? It's like they're trying to cope, they're trying to convince themselves that they didn't want you anyway because all you have is your looks, when really that's not the case at all. And it could be that you get this from sort of pick me girls as well. Like, if you know any pick me girls, they're not like the other girls. It could be that they make judgments about you which are completely unfounded. And the thing is as well, Pal 2, I think it's because people can sense really that you have this very loving energy. I think they also know that you are above this, and I think that annoys them, because I think sometimes when people approach us from a place of jealousy and a place of trying to put us down, sometimes they say things in a way that wants to get a reaction out of us. They want to see us flip. They want to see us just stoop to their level, and I think you won't stoop to people's level in that way, and sometimes that upsets people when they know that they are threatened by you. I think that is the thing. So with this divination card as well, I think people definitely see you as somebody who is quite magical, and I don't know whether you do, Pal 2, but if you are here and if you are like a tarot reader yourself, or you do something in terms of divination, so like automatic writing or reading tea leaves or anything spiritual of that nature, if you do that, people also see you as somebody who would delve into those spiritual things. I think people see you as quite intuitive. They see you as knowing. You might be quite an empathetic person. You might get quite exhausted by being in public spaces because of the energies and things like that. You might need a lot of time to recuperate. And I think people can sense this about you. With you, it's kind of like this quiet confidence. Like, you could potentially be introverted, but you also have this sense of deep inner knowing. This is giving me like Libra and Taurus vibes, but that absolutely doesn't have to be the case. It's just with the Aphrodite coming through, and I just associate that with Venus, and therefore, the signs that are associated with Venus, they always pop into my head. Those could be prominent placements in your chart, but they certainly don't have to be. But yeah, overall, Pal 2, I think people definitely see you as this intuitive person, but I don't always think that they realize the depth of your intuition, the depth of your wisdom. I think when strangers meet you, because this is meant to be like first encounters, I think they can sense that you can pick up on certain things that others can't, but they don't always understand the depth of your intuition and your inner knowing, as if like in the same way that some of your friends would or something like that. I don't think you will ever fit in this narrow box despite people trying to put you there. I just don't think the box will contain you. You are too multifaceted to stay in that very narrow lane. Okay, pal two, that is what I am getting for you with the oracle portion of your reading. We are now going to move on to the tarot portion. So please bear with me and we'll have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading, pal two. Without hesitation, let's just get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, so we have the Five of Swords. We have the Seven of Swords. We have the Lovers in reverse. We have the Hanged One. We have the Page of Cups. We have the Moon. We have the Nine of Coins. And we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. Okay, pal two. So a lot of this, I think, is confirming what we were sort of reading into in the oracle reading, in particular with the top few cards, with the Five of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and the Lovers in reverse. I think sometimes people make unfounded assumptions about you upon a first meeting, and I think people sometimes create this sort of conflict with you in their heads when really on your side there isn't any. Like, on your end, you could be unbothered about this person, but it's like because they jump to conclusions about you, because they make assumptions potentially based on how you look or how you carry yourself, sometimes it creates this hostility when there is just no need for things to be hostile. So, I mean, this could go back to one of the examples we mentioned in the oracle reading. So it could be that, you know, if you are a woman and you encounter other women in your life, it could be that sometimes these other women, because of their own internalized misogyny, because of their attitude of being pick me or trying too hard to be not like the other girls, it could be they make assumptions about you based on your appearance. So if you are somebody who likes to take a lot of care in terms of your appearance, you have a sort of regimented fitness routine, or you enjoy dressing in a feminine or girly way, or doing makeup, putting on jewelry, having a skincare routine, or things like that, it could be that certain people who first meet you think something like, oh, well, because pal 2 is so beautiful, because they take care of themselves, they must be really stuck up, or they wouldn't like somebody like, it's all like, it's projection. They're kind of saying like, oh, they wouldn't like someone like me because they're just this stuck up girly girl or something like that. And it doesn't have to be that specific example. Take it to, you know, however it resonates for your aesthetic, the way that you present yourself. But it's just that people make these unfounded assumptions about you that are just based not in reality at all. It is their own projection because they find you so attractive. They think that you must be stuck up or you must be overconfident. And I don't think that's the case at all. If anything, I think certain people have tried to put you down a lot in the past, and I think, you know, this is where you've had to be resilient and you've had to really overcome this and concentrate on your own confidence and developing that. Yeah, I feel like certain insecure people, when they first meet you, they just make a lot of judgments and it's not fair and it's not based on anything you are doing. But if you are concerned about why, you know, sometimes certain people approach you with this attitude, I think it really does come from them and their own insecurities. And I think as well, like sometimes these insecure people, it's like they feel as though you have lied to them or tricked them in some way. And that's not the case. They feel tricked because they have made an assumption about you based on nothing, based on something that is superficial or shallow to do with how you look or something like that. And when you have not aligned with the stereotype that they have given you in their head, they feel tricked. So for some reason, I'm getting the image of you being on a date or something like that with a toxic person, and maybe this person, if you do identify as a feminine and you're very attractive, and you know this other person makes the assumption that you're not very intelligent, based on your looks or something like that, or they assume that you've been able to like coast by and you've not had to develop your education or something like that. It could be that I'm getting the word like mansplaining, so I'm not saying that you have to be on a date with a man if you know you are not attracted to men, but let's say in this example that it is, and it's this toxic man and he's trying to mansplain something to you, and it's something that you already know because you have a degree in that topic or something like that. And he could be saying to you, like, yeah, I know all this. Like, I don't know, let's say it's about psychology or something like that. You could have a degree in psychology, but maybe this is a first date, so you haven't brought this up yet, and you're talking to this man, and maybe you're talking about something, and this man disagrees with you due to this thing based on psychology, and maybe he says, no, that's wrong, it's not like that, blah, blah, blah. I know this because I did an A level in psychology and I got a B in my A level psychology. So I'm really good at it. I know all this. I'm an expert. And then you say to him, oh, well, actually, I think it is correct because I studied this at university and I got a first class degree in psychology. So I think I know a little bit about it as well. And it's like you kind of put people in their place in this subtle way. But in that example, this person feels really embarrassed. And because of their own shame, because they have shown themselves up, because they have embarrassed themselves based on their own assumptions that they made about you, it's like they blame you and they suddenly feel as though they have to like snap back or argue with you or bring up a conflict to try and sort of put you in your place, to try and put you down, because their own behavior towards you has caused them embarrassment, but it's like now they want to kind of flip it back on you and blame you. It doesn't have to be that exact example, but that is just the one that was popping into my head. And pile two as well, with this Page of Cups energy coming through, it is kind of confirming what we were saying in the Oracle. Because Page of Cups, it can sometimes indicate like naivety, like somebody being naive or innocent or something like that. And I think sometimes people interpret you in this way, even though like with this moon showing up, which we will go on to talk about, but there is a lot more to you. There's a lot more depth. There's a lot more intuition there. You're not as sort of, this is also giving me like strong Pisces or Cancer vibes with the moon showing up, but also just like the overall thing of Pisces being like very dreamy with this Page of Cups. People see you as this kind of dreamy head in the clouds, creative, maybe quite sensitive. I feel like Pisces people are very good at sort of playing innocent. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, you know, they can often come across as very innocent because people just think, oh, their head is so in the clouds, you know, they're not sort of tethered to reality, because that is, and I don't mean that in an offensive way to any Pisces people. I have like a lot of water in my chart as well. I have a lot of Neptune, but the thing is with Neptune is it's all about like the unconscious and, you know, not always being like grounded in reality. It's about that dreaminess. So I think sometimes people can just see you as that. Maybe you are somebody who, and I'm not judging you for this because I do this all the time, but if I'm in a public space, sometimes it can be so overwhelming that I just kind of zone out. I'm in my head a lot. I'm having conversations with myself in my head a lot. And I think this is definitely you, pal, too. I can kind of recognize some of this energy within myself. And sometimes people then interpret you as not being with it or something like that because they've asked you a question and you've just been zoning out because you've been having this in-depth philosophical conversation with yourself in your head, but they just see it from the outside and they perceive you as sort of lacking in common sense or sometimes being a bit ditzy. That's it. It could be that people perceive you as more ditzy than what you actually are, because I think you are a more deep sort of intelligent person, a deep thinker. You're somebody who has a lot to say, but I think a lot of it is kept on the inside. So sometimes people just see you as like ditzy because they've asked you a question 5 times and you've been like, what? Like, sorry, what? Because you're so in your head. And I think as well, it comes down to this sense of people seeing you as quite innocent, like angelic, like we said in the oracle reading, but also an idealist. So it could be that, you know, if you approach the world trying to be positive and give this positive attitude out to yourself and others, it could be that people see you as not being able to handle the darker aspects of life because they don't fully know like what you have been through in your own personal life. I think you are very much capable on the inside of handling these darker things. I think these are things that you think about a lot, but from an external perspective, people see you as this kind of idealist, like, oh, everything's good and happy in my world. But I think if that is the case, it's just because, the meeting, this is a face value thing, right? This whole reading is about what people see on the surface. So I think at a surface level, that can be sort of the image you present, like, oh, everything's good, everything's happy in my world, I don't have any worries about anything. You might come across as like more carefree than what you actually are. And I think it kind of comes down to this thing of certain people doubting your intelligence, because certain people might see you as uncertain, with this Page of Cups and the Hanged one coming through. Maybe people see you as somebody who they could control, in the sense that they think they'll be able to shift your perspective on something. Maybe they think if they cause conflict with you. I mean, we could be talking about somebody in particular when I'm doing this reading. You might have someone in your head where you feel like that's been the case. They've tried to cause conflict with you, they've made incorrect assumptions about you, and it feels like they've kind of tried to sway your opinion because they've seen you as somebody who is uncertain or something like that, when actually internally I think you have a very strong sense of self at this stage in your life, and you've come to terms with like your dreamy nature, but also you have stronger opinions than what people might initially think. If you present yourself in this kind of softer, more loving way, it could be that people think you are easier to manipulate and it's easy to make you uncertain about things, but I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying certain people might try and take advantage of your gentle nature when they meet you on the surface due to their own assumptions, due to their own projections. The Lovers can sometimes talk about detachment. So again, this could kind of come back to this Page of Cups energy and, certain people seeing you as a little bit detached from reality. But I don't mean it in the way that they think you are unhinged or anything like that. I mean it more in the way of you having like your head in the clouds and you being this sort of dreamy, creative but not fully grounded person. It's definitely giving me like water sign energy. I know we mentioned Libra and Taurus earlier, just due to the Venus elements that were coming through. So all or any of these placements could be prominent in your chart, but they don't have to be. It's just kind of the overarching sense that I'm getting from the kind of person people perceive you as. So I know we spoke a lot about the people with insecurities potentially having issues with you, and I just want that to be more reassurance. If you do feel like people approach you in an unnecessarily hostile way sometimes, I just wanted that to kind of be an explanation as to why. But I think the right people, when they meet you, they do really get this sense of intuition from you with the Moon card. I think a lot of people know that there is more going on under the surface, more that is to be discovered. I think there is this element of mystery with you. If you are sort of more introverted or quiet, that could be why some of the more toxic people feel as though you aren't opinionated as what you actually are. But equally, the right people, I think they will see this as your beautiful complexity. They know that you have a lot more to say. I think a lot of people would like to have a one-on-one conversation with you. Maybe you don't always feel as though you thrive when you're in groups, because I think you definitely stand out and people see you as very attractive upon first meeting you, but I don't think you can showcase fully the extent of your emotional intelligence and just the intelligence you have generally. But I think the right people do see it. They see that there is something deeper, something underlying, and it makes them sort of drawn towards you in this very unconscious way. It could be that when people meet you, they end up having a lot of dreams about you or something like that. And if we are talking about people meeting you and being attracted to you and wanting to pursue you in that way, I think people definitely see you with this Nine of Coins as you being a reward in some way. And I don't mean it in an objectifying way. I just think that people see you as somebody that they would be lucky to be around or to be with. Like you would be an achievement for them, like you would be goals kind of thing. Like they see you as a goal to work towards. But at the same time, I think sometimes with this Eight of Wands in reverse, I think again, people have been a little bit intimidated by you because they see you as, you know, this beautiful person with a deeper complexity to you. And I think in your life, pal, too, you've probably had a lot of people who have wanted to approach you, wanted to reach out to you, maybe wanted to ask you out on a date or something like that, and they have stopped themselves with this Eight of Wands. I think sometimes people feel in your energy like they aren't ready for you or something like that. Sometimes people feel insecure because they don't feel like they're fully ready for you, like they don't have enough to offer. They see you as really abundant. I think, you know, a lot of people do see you as this self-sufficient person with the Nine of Coins. They see you as independent, they see you as able to detach. And I think sometimes people just don't quite feel ready to take that next step with you with this Eight of Wands. You know, this can talk about losing momentum when it's in reverse. So it makes me think of like somebody typing out a message to you and then deleting it and then typing another message out and then deleting it. It's just that kind of energy. And then they're like, oh no, I can't do it. I can't go through with it. So I think people have thought about reaching out to you a lot when they first met you. And, you know, like if you've clicked with somebody, let's say, who you meet and you're thinking like, oh, but why didn't they reach out to me? Like, did they not like me in that way? I think they probably did, but I think they were really doubting themselves and I think they weren't sure how to go about it. I think there is something very mystical about you, and I think the right people, obviously, they do sense that there's this real intelligence and real depth with you. And I think sometimes they worry that they don't have enough to bring to the table. So sometimes that makes them just like not try with you. They just dip out, even if they desperately want to kind of connect with you more. So that is what I'm getting for you, pal, too. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did resonate, please let me know. Please leave a comment if at all possible. Please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so, so much. Thank you so much for listening, pal, too, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, Pal 3 Collective. If you chose this moth sticker and you chose Pal 3, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What First Impression Do You Make? What is your overall vibe? The vibe that you are putting out to strangers, acquaintances, people who you meet generally. If you would like more information regarding what this reading entails, then please check out the introduction. However, we are about to get started. Please remember that not every single detail will resonate with you, and that is okay. I also just want to take this opportunity to thank you so, so much for being here. I notice every single like, every single comment, and every single subscriber, and I'm just so grateful for you all. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. And if you haven't liked yet, if you haven't commented, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. It would mean the absolute world to me going forward and trying to grow this channel. But with all that said, let's just get started and do the reading. Okay, Pal 3. So we have Hecate. Use your power, use your intuition, remember the magic within you. We have number 18, Blue Pink Gill Rarity. And we have number 30, Love Tomato. Okay, so it is interesting, Pal 3, because with all the other pals that I've encountered so far, there was a very consistent colour theme. So in Pal 2, it was pink. In Pal 1, it was more reds. But with your colour scheme, it is a little bit more versatile. I mean, with the Hecate card and with this blue pink gill, they're sort of similar colours. They are kind of quite bluish, quite purple. And then we have the red over here, which is like a stark contrast. It's like, you know, sort of an opposition. So it could be that there is something that really stands out about you, especially because we are getting rarity coming through. It could be that there is something in your appearance that kind of makes people do a double take when they first encounter you, because there is something very different about it. There is like a sharp contrast somewhere. Now, this could be in relation to your physical features. Like if there is something unique about one of your physical features, something that stands out in a really beautiful and enigmatic way, But it could just be that there is something very rare, unique, and different about the kind of energy that you carry, something that draws people in. There is this element of mysticism. Also, with like Hecate showing up, out of the Greek goddess oracle, that is making me think of somebody who, on the surface, you might appear to be quite dark. People might, and I don't want you to take that the wrong way. I don't mean that you're a negative person or that you come off as like depressed or anything like that. I think people just sense that you are not afraid to delve into darker topics. I think people see you as maybe having quite witchy vibes, or there just being something darker about your aesthetic. Maybe there is something non conventional about your aesthetic. Maybe you wear darker clothes. Maybe you generally just wear darker colours. Maybe you have a more alternative dress sense or a more alternative way of carrying yourself that some people perceive as a little bit darker. It's something non conforming to society standards in that way, or just you dye your hair dark or you wear dark makeup or something like that. Maybe you have worn like a similar lipstick to the one that she appears to be wearing on this card. I've just noticed as well, like, is this a moth? Because that's really weird that we got the moth sticker for this pile. And again, like with the colour theme, I mean, to be fair, all of these stickers that I've used today are like a purple pinkish. It's just interesting that this sticker and the card, it seems to just kind of fit together really well. It's kind of interesting how that's happened. But yeah, I think to some degree, pile three, I mean, it could be that you might have a darker expression at certain times than what is necessarily happening on the inside. So this could be in the form of resting bitch phase or something like that, which I think I have mentioned in readings before. And if that is the case for you, like, no judgment. It's obviously not a conscious thing. I've been accused of having resting bitch face so many times, and I've had people come up to me and say like, oh, what's wrong? Like, you seem really angry. And I'm not, like, I'm just deep in my head. So it could be a similar thing for you, that people might perceive you as that way at a first glance, or they might think, they might be a little bit intimidated or scared of approaching you. They might be a little bit wary because they think that you're going to be one particular way, when actually you could just be thinking about what you're going to have for tea that night or something like that. You might not be thinking about anything that's making you angry, but maybe sometimes people perceive you as having that kind of darker expression at times. I think people definitely perceive you as somebody who has quite interesting interests. I mean, obviously, like, interests should be interesting, but I think people might perceive you as having non-conventional interests. I'm getting something about maybe you having an unconventional hobby. I think you might be the kind of person who people would look at and they would be like, yeah, he or she is definitely obsessed with serial killer documentaries. I think there's just this sense about you that, I mean, I know serial killer documentaries, like, a lot of us watch, and it is, I guess, like, fairly mainstream now. But I think when people look at you upon initially meeting you, I think they just sense that you might be into that kind of thing, sort of like human psychology, like talking about the darker aspects of humanity, of life, of things like that. I think they see you as the kind of person who wouldn't shy away from getting into like a philosophical or deeper discussion. I have 4 astrological signs that I'm mostly getting with this pile, and this part doesn't have to resonate, but I think I am mainly getting Scorpio, Capricorn, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. Also, little edit for pile 3. When I was talking about the signs, I also thought, as soon as I got done with the reading, I was like, Gemini as well. Like, this reminds me of Gemini so much. And I know people are always like, or I guess earth signs generally, but I think sometimes people say like, oh, Gemini is really fake. They just kind of change their opinion from one day to the next. But I think in the pile 3 energy, it just reminded me of Gemini, because actually, like, Gemini can be very opinionated and they will use logic to back up their opinions. All earth signs will, I think. But with Gemini, sometimes I feel like they will say a certain controversial thing to try and wind you up, even if they don't even believe it. They will just say something confrontational to try and get a reaction. I don't mean this in a bad way, by the way. I think it's so funny. Like, as a Sagittarius Mercury, I find that I really like bounce off Gemini energy. And I just find it really hilarious, honestly. But yeah, that is my edit, that also Gemini, because definitely Geminis are a lot more opinionated than what people give them credit for. And sometimes, they don't always like mean what they say, but they are using their strategy to get a reaction out of you, and they do get a reaction out of you if they want to. So yeah, I think sometimes they're just trying to be deliberately funny and be deliberately controversial for the sake of being so, and I love that for them, honestly. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say, Gemini as well. Especially like Aquarius, with the uniqueness, with the rarity. It's like there's something a little bit offbeat, something so unusual about the way that you carry yourself in a very good way. I think it makes people really drawn to you. It is something that's quite enigmatic, like we said in the earlier part of the reading. It's something that offers this sense of mysticism. I think you definitely have a very sort of witchy vibe about you. If you identify in that way, if like you practice witchcraft, I think people see you and they can kind of sense that about you. And when we were talking about serial killer documentaries as well, I'm not at all saying that you will be the kind of person who would like empathize with a serial killer or be sending them like fan mail like some people do. I don't mean it in this way, but with Hecate in particular, when I was reading the kind of mythology surrounding her, it was all about how there is this sense of her being like the queen of the night, but also about her understanding monsters. So I don't think it's that, you're offering serial killers empathy or anything like that, but I think there is this real desire on your part to understand people. And I also think when people first encounter you, they get this sense that you could understand them and you understand the polarizing nature of humanity, the fact that there is light, the fact that there is dark. And I think you are not afraid to shy away from that darkness. If you have had like mental health struggles yourself or anything like that, I don't think you're necessarily afraid to talk about it. Not saying that you would just announce it to every single person, but I think you are not afraid to acknowledge those aspects of yourself. You aren't just sort of pushing it down. I think you find a lot of power in being able to address certain darker topics. I think you can find a lot of strength in that, and I think people recognize this about you, and it's something they really admire when they meet you. It could even be that you make kind of darker jokes or you have like a dark sense of humor, and that's why I'm kind of getting the Capricorn vibes a little bit. But it doesn't have to be the case that you're a Capricorn or anything like that. It's just one example that's coming through. It could be that due to your understanding nature, this thing that people sense about you, your ability to understand the dark and light, it could be that at certain times the wrong people have gravitated towards you, people who are narcissistic, people who maybe haven't been the best for you, because there is this real sense that you get the human condition in all its forms and you can understand where people are coming from, even if you don't always agree with them. So maybe certain people have realized this about you and it's made them gravitate towards you because they feel as though they can talk to you and there is this level of mutual understanding because you have a large capacity for seeing the depth in all situations. And with this love as well, I'm getting that although you come across as very powerful and quite bold and brave, and I think that's why I'm getting like Sagittarius vibes, I think you are not afraid to dive deeper and to kind of do things that other people wouldn't do. So this could be something that other people perceive as like scary, a new experience, a new way of interacting with the world that other people just wouldn't do. So I don't know, it could be something like, I don't know why, I don't even watch this show, but I have watched it in the past, like when I was younger. I'm a Celebrity, where they do challenges and stuff. Obviously, a lot of people talk about the challenges with the bugs and things like that. And a lot of people, myself included, would say, oh my God, I could never do anything like that. It could be that you'll be like, yeah, I'd do that, no problem. And the thing is, like, you actually would. You would say it with your chest because it's true. Like, people know that about you. I think they'd be like, yeah, that makes sense for Pal 3. Like, they could just do it because I think they know that, you know, if you had to do something, you would, and you're not afraid to be the first person who goes and does it. Like, it's like once you have it over with, you can be this kind of leader that can guide other people to do the same thing. You might come back from, you know, that experience and be like, well, that wasn't that bad. Like, you could do this too. And you can kind of encourage other people, but you're not afraid to take that first step, to take the leap into like a new adventure. I think that's something, a way that people really perceive you as being, even if, you know, on the inside you might actually have some fear for certain things, but people definitely perceive you as somebody who is quite fearless, I think, quite bold, and yeah, just quite powerful overall. And I think that's where I'm getting the Scorpio from, because I'm getting like Pluto energy, sort of power, like the death rebirth cycle or something like that. Maybe you have somebody who, with that like Pluto energy coming through, maybe you are somebody who has transformed your image a lot or something like that, or just transformed yourself in general through healing, through therapy, through inner work. And I think this is something that people can see as well. Yeah, like with the, I think it's a moth anyway, on her hand. And also, I don't know whether this is like an actual snake on her arm or a snake tattoo, but it could be that you have a snake tattoo, or you are interested in reptiles, in snakes. Maybe you have like a pet that's a bit different or something like that, and you really like to nurture, because with this love coming through, I think people actually know that you do have a lot of love to give. And I think you can come across as very like ride or die. And to some degree, this might come across as a little bit possessive to some people. But I think it's just very much like you are there for the people who are yours. Like, you pour love into the people who are there for you. Your circle could be small, but it's very ride or die or something like that. I think once you are in someone's life, you are there for the long haul, and people can really sense this about you. It could be that, you know, when acquaintances see you out and about, if you have a best friend or a partner, the two of you just seem really close. It seems like it's really hard for other people to infiltrate that circle, because you have such an intimate and close bond with the people who you are really connected to in that way, that it feels to other people as though like nothing could get in the way of those bonds that you have with your loved ones as well. I don't know why, but like with this love coming up as well, and that being such a contrasting thing, I'm getting that, you know, you could be quite I don't know what the word for it is, but on the outside, I don't know why, but I'm getting the imagery of like somebody who can come across sometimes as a little bit more intimidating or a little bit more cold on the outside, but you actually have quite a mushy center, like a gooey center, and you have a lot of love to give internally. But maybe sometimes you are perceived as somebody who is scared of being a little bit vulnerable and of discussing your emotions in that way. So that could apply. You also remind me of somebody who, like, I think you could give like the most cutting insult if you wanted to. I'm not saying that you would, but I think you're somebody who could really deliver like a good comeback and really shut someone down. And I think people can be a bit scared of you because they know this about you. However, you might also be the kind of person who would be nothing but gentle to an insect. Like, you might be the kind of person who would never kill a bug or something like that. It's like you have this very loving, nurturing, and gentle side to you. And I think although some people might be a little bit wary of you, based on the initial resting bitch face or a bit of attitude or something like that, it's like they can also sense that you have this softer nature underneath, this more vulnerable side. And I think sometimes that comes out in certain moments, but maybe it's not the most prevalent thing that people notice about you, but they know that it's there somewhere under the surface. It's just that it doesn't always come out. But I do think there is this sense of you being quite protective as well, with this Hecate card in particular. You know, she is described as very protective, and sometimes that can be interpreted as possessive. But I think you are very much not afraid to stand up for your loved ones, and people perceive you that way. You know, if some stranger is giving one of your friends attitude or being a bit too full on, I think you will be the kind of person who is seen as being happy to step into that situation and shut it down. Like, if somebody is flirting with your friend and your friend is like, I'm really uncomfortable by this, you would go and tell that person who's making them uncomfortable to I was gonna swear, but I'm not gonna swear, like to take a hike. That's what I want to say. You would tell them to take a hike and go elsewhere, and you are not afraid to do that. I think people see you as quite bold in that way. The ability to assert yourself. 18 and 30 could be significant numbers for you, but again, they don't have to be. But those are the main messages I'm getting with the oracle portion of your reading, pile 3. We will take a look at the tarot reading, so please bear with me and we will get onto that. I'll see you in the tarot portion of your reading, pile 3. Hi pile 3 collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, so we have the 9 of Wands, we have the 10 of Cups, we have the King of Coins, we have the 7 of Cups, we have the Page of Wands, we have Death, we have the 8 of Swords in reverse, and we have the 2 of Coins. Okay, pile 3. So in particular, with this 8 of Swords, I really get the sense that people see you as honestly like a very strong person. They see you as a survivor. I think they see you as somebody who has overcome a lot. If you have been through struggles of any kind, and obviously it's going to be different for every single person, let's say that you have been through something that has caused, significant upheaval or mental health struggles or trauma. If you do talk about this like online, if you do post things about your experiences, I think acquaintances that might follow you see you as incredibly strong and resilient in that way. And actually, pile 3, if you ever struggle to be vulnerable, if you ever struggle to put yourself out there, I think people really admire this about you, and it's something they actually enjoy seeing your vulnerability because it makes you very relatable. I think you are good at showcasing the human experience. I think people really get this sense of you that they can not only relate to you, but that you can relate and understand them. And I think you are capable of making people feel very seen, very heard, and very validated. And obviously, if you have been through something significant and it's not something you ever want to talk about, I completely understand that. Obviously, don't do anything that would not be aligned with your best self. Don't do anything that will trigger you. But if you are able to talk about some of these things, I think you are in the best version of yourself when you are capable of being vulnerable and of putting yourself out there like this. And it only makes you come across as stronger. It doesn't make anybody see you as weak or as lesser than. They see you as a very strong person. With this Page of Wands in particular as well, I think people see you as very brave, like what we said in the oracle. I think people see you as somebody who is not afraid to go after what you want. And even with this 8 of Swords in reverse, that can talk about like facing fears. So maybe people have seen you become a more empowered version of yourself, because this can also talk about empowerment. Maybe people see that you have empowered yourself by facing your fears, by getting over certain challenges and obstacles in your life. Maybe people see you now as this like brave adventurer who is willing to just go out and get what you want. And I'm getting the sense of somebody who, like, maybe at one stage in your life, you maybe were not the most socially confident, but now it's like people are seeing you on a first encounter as being very empowered in that way and stepping into your true, authentic self. So this could even be something as simple, and again, it's going to be different for every single person, but this could be you sort of cutting off the toxic relationships in your life, getting rid of friends or family members or a partner who was getting you down or something like that. And with this Page of Wands, it's making me think of, just somebody going out and stepping into the world and going out and doing things on their own. Like maybe at one point or another, you felt like you had to rely on another person to go and do things with, like to go to events. But now it feels like you can go and do that by yourself. You are empowered to do so. And people see you going out into the world like that, and they just see you in this very confident and fearless energy. And I think it gives other people a lot of inspiration as well. You know, especially people who are struggling with some kind of codependency. They see you being very independent, and I think they find it encouraging, you know, sort of inspires them to go and do things by themselves more. And I think they see you as somebody who has not been willing to settle for like a bad relationship. So, you know, if you talk about like being single online and maybe like the struggles that come with being single, if you are, or you don't even have to be single, like if you're with someone, but you talk about the struggle with like losing friends or something like that, I think people have a lot of respect for you, like even those who are in relationships, because you might perceive them as being in the perfect relationship or having really good friendships or something like that. But I think a lot of them don't, and therefore they're looking at you and actually thinking to themselves, like, you know what, I'm so proud of Pal 3, because Pal 3 could have easily just got into a relationship for the sake of it and just been with somebody for the sake of being with somebody. And they could have gone out with these friends who actually weren't that good for them, but they haven't. They've taken a stand. They've learned how to be independent and how to find that empowerment within themselves. And actually, that is a beautiful thing. I think people perceive you as somebody who could inspire a lot of change within them. I think the experience of encountering you allows people to transform themselves in some way. I think people, I don't know whether it's the ideas you put out there, you know, Page of Wands can talk about sort of new and fresh ideas. It could be the ideas and opinions you put out there, or it could just be the lifestyle that you live, the way that you show up in the world, just how you are as a person. I think it really does inspire people to look at their own lives and change something, even if they've kind of had like a fleeting encounter with you. I don't know why I keep getting things about social media, but if you do post on social media in any way, it could be in relation to this, like something that you post really gets somebody to shift up something in their own life and makes them more in alignment with who they want to be. This could also be in relation to what we talked about in the oracle reading. So this could be like people perceive you as somebody who changes your appearance quite a lot, or you just show up in like a different energy every time somebody encounters you. So maybe like an acquaintance who you've not seen for a while. It could be that you show up and the last time you saw them, you had like one aesthetic, and it was this is just one example, but maybe in this one instance you had like a really sporty or athletic aesthetic and you were showing up to the event like that, and then the next time they saw you, it's like everything had completely shifted. It was like a 180, things just flipped, and you were showing up in this very feminine, like long draped dress, romantic essence, energy, or something like that. It could just be that you are so different every time people encounter you. Or this could even be like, you know, if you're at work or something like that and you wear business attire, or you wear very professional clothing, or you don't wear much makeup in a work setting or something like that. If you are somebody who wears makeup, this could be like when people see you on a work to do, or they see you out of work, they're like, wow, Pal 3, you look so different. It's crazy. Like, and both of those versions of you are beautiful versions. It's not that they're like, oh, wow, Pal 3, you looked really dusty and now like you look better. It's not like that. It's just like you look like a different person. You've really managed to transform yourself. So that is very much the way people see you, as, you know, changing from one moment to the next. The Two of Coins can sometimes talk about being adaptable. So maybe people see you as somebody who is able to adapt to change and be quite flexible. Obviously, the Two of Coins talks about, you know, stretching resources. So for some of you, I mean, you could be a parent yourself and you have had to learn how to adapt to situations such as parenting, or if you're not a parent, it could just be like caring for somebody or caring for a pet even, or just having to be independent. You've had to really think about your resources and how to balance them. And I think people see you as quite, you know, self-sufficient for this reason as well. They see you in this King of Coins energy of being this kind of provider, of being able to look after not only yourself but other people. So it could be that if you you are a parent, people see you as honestly like a very good parent. I think if you are a parent, that is evident that that is what you are. I think people see you putting a lot into your loved ones. Again, it comes back to this like ride or die feeling. I think people sense that you are not somebody who would give up on others very easily. I think people, see a real sense of stability with you. They see you as somebody who they could have a very fulfilling and stable life with. So, I mean, this could just be like, I'm getting the sense of somebody who kind of knows you as an acquaintance. I don't think this would be a complete stranger, maybe someone in a work setting or something like that. They see you in a professional capacity, and they sort of see you in this way, and maybe they think about you with this Ten of Cups as somebody who they could have this happy home with, as somebody who I think is balanced, is adaptable. I think potential romantic interests like the fact that you would be the kind of person to stick up for them, and you wouldn't be afraid to say what you mean and mean what you say. I think you can be quite bold and you can be assertive when you want to be. And I think this is something that people really admire and respect about you, even if occasionally it can intimidate them. But what I'm getting in my head is actually, that meme where it's like, oh, why do quiet men always go for really fierce and loud women? Well, I'm not saying that you are loud, but I think you are fierce. So it makes me feel as though like maybe the people who've been attracted to you in the past, or like past partners and stuff, have that more kind of shy or like socially anxious energy. And I'm not saying that on the inside you don't feel socially anxious or anything like that, because I think a lot of us do, but maybe you are better at hiding it. And I think people perceive you with this sense of fierceness, this sense of confidence. And with this like Page of Wands, it's making me think of like you and a partner, or even like not necessarily you and a partner. It could even be like you and a friend or a family member. Maybe you're eating at a restaurant and the person you're with says like, oh, my steak isn't cooked the way I like it cooked, but I don't want to say anything. You'd be the person who'd be like, don't worry, I've got it. And you would sort it. And I'm not saying you would be like rude or impolite to the waiter or waitress or anything like that, but you would be the one to fix that problem for them. People see you as very stable in that way, very able to take charge of your own life and other people's lives. That's why it's giving me the energy of maybe you being a parent, but that doesn't have to be the case. Like, if that's not your thing, it could just be that regardless of whether you do or don't have children, you kind of embody this sort of, it is almost like daddy energy. You don't have to be a man, but it is like this sort of boss, oh, don't worry, I've got it, I'll take care of it energy. And I think it's something that, people really find attractive about you. It's something that kind of draws people in. I think they know that they can rely on you. And maybe in the past, pile three, you have had people who have taken advantage of that. If you are sort of in this provider energy, or if you have been more financially stable than certain people that you were dating or certain people that you were friends with, it could have been that people took advantage of that in the past. But sometimes I think it is nice to have friends and a partner where you kind of are opposites, but you can balance each other out. Like, if you are a fiery person who is with a really calm person, the two of you can work together really well and have like a really good relationship, because you can show up for them in the way that, you teach them to be more assertive, to stand up for yourself more, and equally they can teach you how to kind of manage your emotions and be a bit more calm, or like just practice being more vulnerable and being more open to expressing yourself in a more vulnerable way. You can kind of like balance each other out in that way. And I think, when you meet the right people, that is a beautiful thing, but it could be that in the past it hasn't always been the right people who have gravitated towards you, and sometimes people could have taken advantage of you being that ride or die type person, that protector, that provider, that stable, grounded person. People could have taken that for granted, I think, at certain points. I think even on a surface level, people can see that you are somebody who has had to be very resilient and you have had to persevere. So if you are like a parent or anything like that, I think people can see that you're not the type of person who, if your child, I don't know why I'm getting the image of a parent with a teenager, and I know that's probably not going to be the case, but it's just an example. Obviously, we know teenagers can be difficult, but sometimes parents don't always deal with their teenagers in what I would say is the best way. And, I can't speak on this too much because I'm not a parent of a human child myself. I have pets, but I'm not like an actual parent. But I've heard stories about teenagers, trying to have an open dialogue about issues that they're facing. And sometimes the families have like rejected them or they've kicked them out. The parents have just got to the end of their tether. And I think what I'm trying to say, Pal 3, is that regardless of whether this is me talking about your child or your future child, or just a friend, I think you don't give up on people. I think you're not the kind of person, you might have some very strong emotions and you might appear to be quite fierce on the surface, and you might sometimes say things that you don't mean occasionally, but I think a lot of those things do come from a place of love and a place of wanting to protect people. And I think ultimately you're not just going to give up on somebody at the first hurdle. I think you now are empowered in terms of like, your boundaries, but I think people can really sense about you that the people in your life who you love, the people who you are down for, you wouldn't just give up on them. If you're going through a hard time with somebody in a relationship, or like if, like we said, this is your child, like your teenager, and they are going through some mental health struggles and they are quite difficult to deal with, I think you have so much resilience that people can really see from an external perspective, that allowed you to really be in this energy of, again, like coming across as this survivor with the Eight of Swords, coming across as this person who, has had to overcome significant obstacles, but it's not been the end of you. You've not allowed it to let it ruin you in any way. You have come out stronger. Like, you've always been a strong person, but you've been through some things that have had to make you strong. I definitely think that people can sense that you've been through some stuff and you've had to persevere. You've had to be your own hero and really be resilient in certain situations. Pile 3, on a lighter note, I definitely think that people that meet you have a lot of fantasies about you with this Seven of Cups, and I think with the Ten of Cups as well. I think it goes back to what we were saying as people, seeing you as this provider, this person who is maybe able to offer more stability than what they've had in the past. I think, like, obviously, people sometimes people will fantasize about you in a more physical, sexual way. That happens. But I think the fantasies that some people are having about you, people who don't even know you very well, are about actually establishing a life with you, like thinking that you are wifey or hubby material or something like that, however you identify. People really sitting back and even having dreams, but in particular fantasizing about being with you in a more emotional way. Maybe people fantasize about you being emotionally vulnerable with them because they want to see that side of you more or something like that. So it's not just like the physical side, it's people actually fantasizing about having a full-on life and having kids with you or something like that. I think sometimes this is just strangers. There is just something about your boldness, your attitude, and your energy that like can draw strangers in, and they are kind of dwelling on you, thinking about you long after the interaction is finished. And people, I think you leave such an impression that even after a short interaction, even after a short time, people are sometimes still thinking about this of like, oh, what would it be like to be married to Pal 3? And yeah, like I think that is something that people very much focus on. I don't know why, but with this Two of Coins, I know we were talking about like stretching resources, which is what that is about, but I'm also getting the phrase making things last. So you could definitely be the kind of person who, I think, as we were saying, you don't give up on people easily, and I think people can sense this even from a first impression. So I think you can make relationships last, you can make friendships last. You know how to go the distance with people. You do know how to commit to something or someone, even if that someone is just yourself. I think you know how to make progress, and how to develop yourself, and you know how to make things last. It could even be in terms of like material resources, like you know how to make your money last, or people think that about you. People think you could be quite financially well off or something like that, but it doesn't have to be. It could be that, the things, anything that you do, the way you show up in the world, what you commit to, it is for the long haul. Like we said, you know how to go the distance, you know how to see it out, you are quite ambitious, I think people can sense, and you know how to see anything through to completion. You know how to actively work on a goal until you reach that goal or something like that. Okay, so that is what I am getting for you, Pal 3. I really hope this reading resonated. If it did resonate, please like the video, please leave me a comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, Pal 3, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, Powerful Collective. If you chose the pajamas and you chose Pal 4, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What First Impression Do You Make? What is the overall vibe that you give out? So, this reading is generally in relation to strangers, to acquaintances, to people who have recently met you, maybe work colleagues, people who don't really know you on a deeper level. What is the kind of surface level vibe, overarching energy that you give out? This reading is going to cover that. If you would like more details regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the introduction. Just a little reminder slash disclaimer, not every single detail of the reading will resonate, and that is okay. You are always more than welcome to go back and choose a different pile. If none of the piles are resonating for you, that is also okay. The readings are intended to be timeless. They might resonate at a different stage in your life, but if they are not resonating right now, that's fine. Feel free to go away and come back another time. We are about to get started with the reading, but I just want to thank every single person who has commented on my videos, who has liked my videos, and who has subscribed. All of it means the absolute world to me, and I just can't thank you enough for your support. That said, if you have not yet liked, if you've not yet commented, and if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing that. All of it, like I say, it would just mean so, so much to me, and it would really help me understand what kind of content you like, to help me do the content that you want to see going forward, and it would just help me grow this channel. And yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for everyone who supported in any way that you can. Without further hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, Pal 4. Okay, so we have Gaia. Honor Mother Earth, protect her. When you honor the earth, you honor yourself. We have Impress, card number 31. And we have card number 42, Refinement, Dahlia. Okay, so understandably powerful with your cards. I am very much getting, I mean, it literally says it's Gaia, so it's like Mother Earth energy, and I am very much getting Earth sign energy. So the main signs I am kind of picking up on at the moment could be Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Does not have to be the case, but if those are significant signs for you in any way, if they are prominent in your chart, then this is just a little bit of extra confirmation that you chose the right pile. But overall, I think people perceive you as somebody who has, I know in the previous pile, obviously, you probably didn't watch it, but in pile 3, I said pile 3 was giving me like daddy energy. And this is very much your pile 4 is giving me very much mummy energy. It is giving me sensuous, nurturing, divine, feminine energy, goddess-like energy, maybe like empress-like energy in terms of tarot, if you want to refer to it that way. I think people see you in your goddess energy, and they see you as somebody who deserves princess treatment, as somebody who is very much deserving of a refined lifestyle. I think that they see you as somebody who is not only independent, but is also very elegant and graceful. There is something almost, I want to say royal, but I don't know if that is the right word. But with this refinement, it's making me think of potentially somebody with a very sort of regal presence. And I'm not necessarily saying that you do come from like a privileged background or anything like that. In fact, it could be the opposite. It could be that you have come from a less materially stable background and you have worked hard to become self-sufficient and you have worked hard to create a stable life for yourself. It could be that you are not the most financially well off, But I think to other people, their first impression is that you might come from a wealthy background or that you are privileged in some way. Or again, there is something sort of regal and elegant about your presence. It's like you are a princess or a queen or a king or something like that, and people really feel the need to impress you. I think that is the thing. People really want to go out of their way when they meet you to impress you because they feel as though you are somebody who is worth making an impression on. But I think sometimes the ways that people go about doing this are not ways that you actually find impressive. It could be that sometimes you are approached by people who are interested in you or attracted to you in a romantic way. And these people might try to impress you by being like, oh yeah, pal 4 will be really impressed if I buy like the most expensive bottle of champagne, and they're like bragging about how much they earn. And really, like, you're so independent that you don't care about any of that on the inside. But I think the first impression that you give is maybe like somebody who would value things like that, and it could just be because you have worked hard to get yourself in a position where maybe you are able to spend more money on yourself. Or even if you don't, like, even if you can't spend money on yourself, it comes across to certain other people like they have to be materially stable. They have to be in that same energy of being independent and self-sufficient in order to show up and be in your life. I think you give an impression of having very high standards, even if you know your standards. And don't get me wrong, like, powerful, your standards are your standards. You have those standards for a reason. If you have certain criteria that people need to meet in order to be in your life in terms of dating or just having friends, you know, that is very much up to you. You are allowed to have your boundaries, and you are allowed to set in place whatever rules work for you and your lifestyle. But I think sometimes maybe people get the incorrect impression that you are concerned with material stability only, or you might be concerned with how much money people make, and they therefore get the wrong impression about what your values might be. They might see you as, you know, somebody they would have to spend a lot of money on, when really you might be thinking, well, no, I can do that myself. And you know, if somebody tries to impress you by getting the most expensive bottle of champagne at the bar or something like that, it could just make you a bit like, ew, like, it could give you the ick. But this person gets the wrong idea about what you find important. You might not be actually that concerned with what someone does as a job or how much they earn or how successful they are in that way. You might just want to be with somebody who is in your same energy of being self-sufficient. You might just want to connect with somebody who is in your same energy of being a grounded person, being a respectable, responsible person, having good values, because I think that these are all things that you might place in high regard. But certain people might try and just show off how much money they earn around you, and it's just a bit, ugh, I don't think you are impressed with it, but it's like people see you based on a first impression as somebody who they have to go out of their way to impress. I think you come across as somebody who isn't going to lower their standards for anyone. I think you come across as somebody who is good on their own. You are good by yourself. Maybe you come across as quite introverted, or people could perceive you as the type of person where, like, it's difficult to get you on a night out or something like that, because maybe you go to work and then you go home and you really enjoy your own company. And it's not like, you know, you don't do anything, you don't have hobbies, because I think you do, but I think the hobbies that you pursue are things that feel like worthwhile investments in terms of either they give you the ability to potentially start a business or make money, because I think you have a sort of very good grounded business sense about you. But equally, it could just be in terms of your self-development, things that actually bring you joy. Maybe you are quite good at thinking about like the potential consequences of a situation, and maybe that kind of sometimes makes you approach things with caution, or that's how it's perceived. So maybe like you sometimes say no to a night out because you think ahead and you think like, well, no, I want to do XYZ tomorrow, so I'm going to plan ahead and I'm going to say no to this night out because I don't want to get too drunk or something like that. I think you are very happy to be in your own energy. I think you are also perceived as the kind of person who really enjoys life's pleasures. So it could be that people perceive you as somebody who really enjoys going to nice restaurants, being a bit of a foodie. Maybe people perceive you as quite picky in terms of what you will eat or where you will eat or something like that. And I think you really know how to look after and nurture yourself. And I think also people get this sense that you are very good at looking after and nurturing other people. So it could be that, like, if you go on a night out, all your friends are getting really drunk and you are like the mum friend or something like that, you know how to take care of people, you know how to get them home safely. And also, I get the sense that there is something very comforting about you, something that feels like home within you. And I think sometimes, even when strangers meet you, they just get this sense that they can tell you things, maybe they can open up to you, that maybe they don't normally open up to like strangers about. But there is just something that feels very mummy about you. Like, you don't have to be an actual mum, you don't have to be a female if you don't identify that way, but there is just something where being around you feels like a nice, warm, comforting hug. It feels like your presence gives people an embrace. It gives them a safe space in order to vent their emotions, and you can be like very understanding and very balanced in the way that you respond to people and them opening up. I think people can sense this about you just based on a first impression, and it just makes them feel sort of seen and like they're able to really talk about things that they wouldn't normally talk about with other people. I definitely think you come across as being very protective over your energy, and maybe, you get drained quite easily by social situations. So maybe you come across as somebody who doesn't socialize very much, like we said. You spend a lot of time in your own company or with your loved ones if you live with loved ones. You spend a lot of time being a sort of homebody. You could have a lot of hobbies that are done more within the home, like cooking or baking or something like that. You spend a lot of time in this introspective, contemplative energy. You could be the kind of person who also really comes across as enjoying like long hot bubble baths or spa treatments or something like that. To certain people, you could come across as like a bit high maintenance. However, I don't think that's who you are on the inside, pal. For I think you very much maintain yourself. You like the finer things in life, but also you can provide the finer things in life for yourself. But I think, the right people can pick up on this, and they can pick up on the fact that actually, you do all these things for yourself. You provide for yourself, and anyone who comes into your life, you don't need anyone. You are good in your own energy and in your own company. But anyone who comes into your life as an addition, they have to really step up to the plate and show that they are adding value to your life. I think that's it. You are very set in your ways in terms of what you value and your day-to-day like routine or something like that, and you come across as very sort of grounded and fixed in that routine. And maybe some people feel as though it's quite difficult to infiltrate your space or something like that, because they feel as though that you wouldn't even give them a chance because you are so happy on your own being independent or something like that. So yeah, people could sort of unnecessarily think that you come from a more privileged background than what you actually do. And with this refinement as well, I think sometimes I think because people perceive you as very elegant, I think sometimes certain people feel as though they have to sort of restrain what they actually want to say. And I don't actually think that's necessary, because I definitely don't think, powerful, that you're judging anyone. And actually, I think a lot of people perceive you as sort of this non judgmental person who they can really be open with and vent. And you always stay calm, like you're not really shocked by anything. But certain people are powerful. I tell you what, this is reminding me of actually, because I am a Capricorn rising. I have a lot of earth in my chart. And with being a Capricorn rising, sometimes people get, I think, this impression of me, because I am quite reserved, that I am one certain way. That actually isn't the truth of the situation, because I do tend to find, like, in my day-to-day life, I can just be sitting there like quietly minding my own business. And if people are having a discussion around me, sometimes people feel this need to be like overly polite or to apologize for the way they are. And I don't think that I'm putting out any kind of energy that would make someone feel that way. But at certain points, I've had like, people around me, they'll be talking to someone else and they will swear, and then they will say to me like, "Oh, sorry, nosy witch." obviously they don't say nosy witch, they say, you know, my actual name. But they'll be like, oh, sorry, nosy witch, as if I would be offended by them swearing. And I'm not. Like, I swear all the time. Swearing is a part of my vocabulary. I feel like that sounds really childish. I feel like it's like that one clip of, is it Miranda Cosgrove, where she's like, my favourite word is F-U-C-K. I feel like sometimes people, you know, get this impression that I'm this really polite person, which, you know, I can be, like, when people don't know me very well, when people are acquaintances, and I am quite shy, so like I don't always talk that much, but I'm definitely not offended by people swearing. I really don't care. The reason I don't swear too much on my channel, or like I try not to, I try to rein it in a bit, is because I realize that certain people might, you know, be watching with their children in the background or something like that. I know that some of my friends have children and they might be doing that. So that's the kind of reason that I don't swear too much here. But in terms of my day-to-day life, I couldn't care less whether someone swears or not, or like how they want to articulate themselves is fine. But I think with this impress card and this refinement, it's like sometimes people really feel the need to be this more refined version of themselves around you. Like, they really have to impress you. They're scared of saying something that would make you find them rude or something, because I think people really feel like you're a polite person, you have a lot of manners. I think they see you as somebody who has a lot of respect for yourself and others. And I think they also see you as somebody who is very classy. I'm getting the word classy, so it could be that you have a classic kind of beauty or just a classy way of dressing that feels very refined, that feels very regal. And I think therefore people want to treat you like you are this royal entity, like you're this princess or queen or king or something. I think you kind of make people step up their game when they're around you. You make people want to like hold doors open for you, or just really treat you as though you are this high society person, even if, you know, you are sitting there and you're like, well, I'm not, like, I have a minimum wage job. There is just something about you that feels very elegant, very graceful. It could also be that people get the sense that you are very nurturing towards the people in your life, or you kind of mother things. You could be somebody who people perceive as just being happy to be alone and be a plant mom or something like that, like look after your garden, or they might perceive you as somebody whose home is a very nice and clean space, somebody who is very organized. Even if you're sat there and you're like, oh, well, I'm not organized, like I have ADHD, don't attack me like this. I think people perceive you as that way because there is this sense with you that you can present in a way where people just feel as though you have it all together. I think people perceive you as somebody who has this like tranquil, I am in control energy in a sort of quiet and reserved way, in a gentle way, and they perceive you as, you know, somebody who has their stuff together, like has everything in order. This could definitely work to your benefit, powerful in employment settings, particularly if people see you, you know, as this person who can stay calm under pressure and just have all their shit together. I think this could definitely work to your benefit and provide a positive outcome. But yes, overall, powerful, I really get the sense that people see you as this person with high standards, maybe who is a little bit high maintenance, but who is deserving of, you know, being given the best treatment or something like that. So on the cards, we have card number 31 and number 42. So these could be significant numbers for you, but they absolutely don't have to be. Just wanted to mention it while I remembered. You give me the impression, powerful, before we get into your tarot, which we are going to get started on in just a moment, but you definitely give me the impression of somebody, like maybe you've been like utilized in the past as feeling like you are people's therapist, because you have this very sort of calming and comforting energy. And I think once people, acquaintances, once they get past that barrier of realizing that, you know, they can actually be their true authentic selves with you, and they don't have to put on this facade of not swearing or not ever saying anything that's a bit more out there. Once they've got past that and they see that, you know, you are a human being, I think you have this energy where you can draw a lot of emotions and a lot of vulnerability out of people because people want to bask in your warmth. I think you have a very warm energy about you, something that feels soft and nurturing and lovely and very comforting. And I think, therefore, sometimes you have been people's therapist. Maybe people have used you to vent, and maybe that hasn't always been reciprocated. That is just one message that I'm getting. But yeah, that is what I am getting overall for you, Pal 4. We will now move on to the tarot portion of your reading. So thank you very much for listening so far, and I'll see you in the tarot. Hi, Pal 4 Collective. Welcome to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, Pal 4. I think we got extra cards. We pulled extra cards for you, but the cards wanted to come out, so who am I to say no? We got the Six of Coins reversed. We got the Six of Cups. We got the Three of Wands reversed. We got the Two of Swords. We got Justice. We got the Two of Cups. We got Temperance. We have got the Five of Wands reversed. We have got the Queen of Coins. And we have got the Hermit. Okay, Pal 4. So I know in the Oracle portion of the reading, I think I mentioned the Empress card, and we didn't get the Empress coming through in the tarot, but we did get the Queen of Coins, which I feel represents your energy, or at least the energy, the overall vibe that you are putting out into the world. I think it is very much Queen of Coins. So there is something, people perceive you as, you know, this very generous, nurturing, loving person, but somebody who is also stable and reliable. You also have a good business sense. You are also very much perceived in that way. I definitely think, you know, people, as we said in the Oracle, I think, you know, I mentioned about home comforts and things like that, but I think that people do perceive you as this homebody and this introvert, this person who maybe keeps to themselves. Like maybe you just go to work and then you go home for the day and people really don't know too much about you. It's not that you don't have hobbies, but I think you are quite reserved and you are quite selective in terms of who you let into your life and which people you allow to get to know you at a deeper level. It could be that, you know, there's a lot that people don't know about you. Maybe at work or something, you keep it very cordial, you keep it very professional. You don't let people get to know you really more than a surface level. But I think people are intensely curious about you, and I think that people have a lot of respect for you, the way that you show up in the world. I think people view you as having a good amount of self-worth and of being solid and of also being quite an honest person with this justice coming through. I think that people really get a sense of integrity with you. Again, like what we got in the Oracle, you say what you mean and you mean what you say. There is kind of like no BS with you. I think a lot of people are drawn to you because they are keen on asking your opinion, because they know that you are going to be authentic, and also you are going to approach things from a place of trying to be fair and to offer justice for the situation. So if you don't agree with something, I think you're going to say it, and people sense this about you, but it's not going to be in the way of like you are just arguing with people. With this Five of Wands in reverse, I think you are very much a peacekeeper, and at certain times in your life it could be that you have avoided conflict. And I think it's that you know you're better than conflict. So people could have tried to get a rise out of you in the past, and you've just been like, no, you shut it down, because ultimately you want that peaceful life for yourself, because ultimately you know that you deserve it. You know your worth, and certain people who have tried to start an argument with you, who have tried to be aggressive, you're just like, you're not even worth thinking about. I'm just going to forget about you. Even if I don't agree with you, I don't even have to do anything about it, because you are not even worth the hassle. It's like you are coming up, you are showing up in a very I am above it energy. Like I am not giving into nonsense. You are very much a no nonsense person, or at the very least that is something that people sense about you when they first meet you. Again, there's just no BS. There's no sort of like beating around the bush with things. I don't think you're somebody who necessarily wants to play games in a dating sense or something like that. I don't doubt that you could if you wanted to, but I don't think that's something you want to do, because I think you always want to come from this respectful energy because you have a lot of respect for yourself, you will also give other people that respect, but equally, you are not afraid to cut people off if they disrespect your boundaries because you are fine being on your own. I think that is something that people sense with you. I think you can come across with this Two of Swords. It's this stalemate energy. So I think people see you as somebody who is maybe quite stubborn or maybe quite rigid. And they know that if they start something with you, then you're not going to back down. If you're not happy with something that they do, you are going to just take a step back from them. You're going to let them think about what they've done. You're not going to rise to any kind of conflict. You're not going to be sending them huge paragraphs about what they've done. It's like they can either realize that for themselves or they can leave your life, because ultimately you are very much perceived as being in this energy of not needing anyone. You are like this source of comfort to other people, but you do not rely on anyone else for validation. And I think this is something that people very much see about you. Sometimes it can come across to them as being like a little bit stubborn or a little bit inflexible. And maybe, powerful, you are learning more about compromise and things like that, or maybe that is something you are focusing on. But the things you are unwilling to compromise on, your deal breakers when it comes to dating and things like that, I think you are not afraid to stick to your boundaries. You know very well, you know yourself very well. You have had a lot of time to contemplate your wants and needs. With this Hermit, you have done your introspection. You've spent a lot of time by yourself, working on yourself, developing yourself. And I think you know yourself better than a lot of other people know themselves. And I think people can sense this with you. So I don't think, people are going to convince you to give them a chance if you know that they are doing something that's not in alignment with who you are and your boundaries, because people know that you are very fixed in your mindset in terms of what you will and won't tolerate. Some people with this Three of Wands in reverse, they could see you as like quite hard to get in like a dating sense. Acquaintances that you meet, it could be that people perceive you as somebody who is like quite difficult to get to know. And it could be because, people see you as an introvert, or they see that you don't go out very much, and it can be hard to, talk to you and interact in like a non-professional setting or something like that. Like I said, it can be quite hard for other people to infiltrate your safe space, because I think you very much make your home a sacred safe space, and only you are selective, that is the right word, like time with you, there is something very like exclusive about your energy. And I think sometimes people see this exclusivity, this nature you have, as an obstacle, because they know that they essentially have to come correct in order to be able to spend time with you in any capacity. And obviously, some people aren't willing to make the changes they need to make in order to do that. So I think they just sort of stay out of your space because they know they're not going to be able to get in there. It could be that, if you meet acquaintances and they are attracted to you and they are interested in getting to know you, it could be that the obstacle that they have in their mind is made up. So it could be that they perceive you, like even if you're single, they see how put together you are, how abundant you are, how much you have to offer, and maybe they perceive that you are already married or you are already in a relationship, or maybe they think, oh, powerful must have so many suitors, I'm getting the word suitors, who want to come and show up for them and offer them the world and offer them abundance. They must have so many people interested in them, so many people trying to get their attention. So sometimes they perceive these obstacles where there might actually not be any. I mean, not that you don't have a lot of people interested in you, I think you definitely do, but it could be that certain people who maybe you would have given a chance to have not taken that chance to try and get to know you further because of these perceived obstacles of some kind, because of them sort of placing you on a pedestal. I think sometimes people do place you on a pedestal and they put you as like so far above them. Maybe it's because they perceive that you've come from this privileged background, even if you haven't. It could be that you come across as very well educated and very articulate, so people get the wrong impression that you have come from money or wealth, when maybe you have never had like money or wealth to fall back on. I mean, you might have done, you might have come from like an affluent family, but equally you could have very much made a name for yourself, paved your own way, developed your own business or something like that, and you could have made some very intelligent financial decisions, or the life you've created for yourself, you've just allowed yourself something to fall back on materially, and this is what has helped support you and what has helped develop you in into the person you are now. But yeah, for whatever reason, it's like people perceive you as so far above them and they will never be able to get into your energy or spend time with you. And sometimes it kind of makes people take a step back and, not take action towards you, even if they want to. I very much get the sense, powerful, that even if you struggle with your own anxiety, you struggle with your own stress, or you feel chaotic on the inside, I think people perceive you as this very calm and tranquil person. So externally, I think you would be very good in a role. I think if somebody met you, they would definitely want to hire you on the basis that you are able to appear to stay calm in chaos. So, in work situations where you have to deal with a lot of chaos, or you have to keep the peace, or you have to keep things calm and balanced and level, you might have to talk people down from difficult situations or something like that. You could work in an environment where things become emotionally heightened, and you could kind of be this fair voice of reason. And I think people really see you in that way. They see you as somebody who doesn't lose their cool easily. Even if on the inside, pal 4, you're like, oh, well, I always get stressed, I always lose my cool. I don't think this is apparent from an external perspective. I think people see you as always being calm, cool, collected, and in control of your own emotions. We said in the oracle about certain people getting the wrong impression about the things that you value. I very much get a sense that, powerful, you are a person with values. You have your morals, and the things that you do, the behavior that you carry out is very much in alignment with those morals, and it's something that you won't compromise on. But I feel like some people sometimes get the wrong impression, and they feel as though, because you might appear as quite affluent or quite wealthy in some way, they see you as being attracted to the material. And with the Six of Coins in reverse, I get the sense that some people approach you and they think that if they approach you and they give you things, like they buy you expensive gifts, they might get the impression that expensive gifts equals love. Or if they give you something, it might be that, people try and impress you by buying you an expensive bottle of champagne or something like that, like the example we gave in the oracle reading. And they think that this will impress you and it will lead to you giving something back to them. So it could be that people approach you trying to gift you things because they want to extort something from you. They want to get something back, which obviously, isn't the way to go about it. But based on their first impression, maybe they feel as though you would be somebody who would be responsive in that way to being given gifts. Might not be the truth of the situation. It could just be how some toxic people view you. If you are a woman in particular and there are toxic people in your life who are misogynistic or something like that, these could be the kinds of people who, because they perceive you as successful, because they perceive you as abundant, they could think that you have got to that position via using someone else for their resources or something like that. They could perceive you as being a gold digger, even if you have got everything that you have got on your own merit, on your own progress, by developing your own skill set. It's like certain toxic people, because they don't believe that maybe a woman can be financially successful on her own or have a good job or something like that. They just perceive you as like, oh, well, I have to impress this woman by buying her all this fancy stuff or offering to take her shopping or something like that. When really, if anything, that just puts you off, because you might value actual morals above that kind of material thing. But again, this is based on a first impression, and sometimes people can get the wrong one. That is not your responsibility to correct, their incorrect views. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what's coming through on the cards, and that could be something that you have struggled with in the past, because you might have met people and thought, like, why do these people keep gravitating towards me who are just concerned about money? And it's because I think they could have got the wrong impression, and that is not your responsibility to fix that in any way. The right people, however, powerful, they see you very much as somebody who they could develop a really close and respectful bond with this Two of Cups. People who are sort of on your level, people who are also in their Queen of Coins or their King of Coins energy, I think they really see you, as somebody who could be a good part of their team, as somebody who they could join forces with. I think people who see the potential in a relationship with you really see you as like being somebody who could be their teammate, not just their girlfriend or boyfriend, but their actual teammate. you could be an equal partnership. There would be give and take. There would be an element of justice. There would be like fairness in the relationship, like you meeting each other halfway. I really do think people see you as this sort of stable, grounded, fair person who is willing to be diplomatic. I think that's the thing as well. You can be diplomatic. You can see all sides of a situation, and you can kind of meet people in the middle. Obviously, when it comes to your morals, the things that you want to stick by, your principles, you're not willing to compromise on those. But in terms of having empathy and understanding for people, I think you have that in abundance, and people can really sense that. And they sense that you are somebody who they could really go far with if you were to join forces. With this Six of Cups, you know, when I spoke earlier in the oracle about you having this like comforting energy, I think that is very much coming through with the Six of Cups. There is something that's familiar about you, something where you make people feel safe in your presence. There is something where people feel as though they can open up to you, because often people feel as though they have known you before. This could be like a kind of past life thing, like people feel as though they've known you in another life or something like that. But it could just be that there is this sense of nostalgia. So I don't know, you could get a lot of people saying like, oh, you remind me of my friend who I was really close to in high school, or you remind me of this celebrity, or you remind me of my family member who has now passed away, who I was really close to, or something like that. It's just like you remind them of someone, and it makes them feel really safe and comforted and loved in your presence. There is something in you that feels like home to a lot of people, and I don't always think they are able to identify or pinpoint why, but it's just a general feeling of being secure in your presence. I think you make people feel very warm and comforted and safe. You might be a parent, but if you're not, I think people see you as somebody who would work very well with children, somebody who could be very level headed and understanding. And obviously, you know, children can be quite chaotic. So I think people see you as somebody who could deal with children very well, and be that comforting energy to them as well. I just remembered, obviously, we got the pajamas sticker. So it could be that you love your nighttime wear. It could be that, you know, people perceive you as the kind of person who, once you get home from work, you get straight into your pajamas. Maybe your favorite thing to buy is like comforting things like pajamas or candles or nice diffusers. I think people see you as really having a nice home, as having made a nice space for yourself. People think, even if they haven't been to your home or anything like that, people think that your home is a really clean, organized, and tidy space because of how you present yourself, like physically, because of your aesthetic. People just believe this about the space that you inhabit as well. Talking about sort of earthly pleasures and that earth energy, I think people also see you as somebody who is very sensuous and who can explore all of life's physical pleasures. So I think you are somebody who people would want to give a lot of pleasurable experiences to physically. I think they see you as somebody who is very focused on your senses. I think that's it. I think, you know, people perceive you as somebody who, like, when you are enjoying food, let's say, you really enjoy it. And equally, if you are enjoying a physical relationship with somebody, I think you are really present in that moment, and you are really listening to your body. You are very in touch with your body. People perceive you as being very in touch with your physical senses and being very sensuous in that way, just relying on a lot of your sensory experiences in order to guide you and in order to ground you and keep you sort of in the moment. So it's like people want to see you enjoying things, finding pleasure in things, and also they want to give you pleasure in return. People just want to make you happy and comfortable. They want to make you feel safe and secure, I think, the way that you do for them. I think your energy is very exclusive, but the people who are able to get into your inner circle, I think people who are on the outside, people who are seeing you on more of a surface level, are quite envious of that, because they know that it is a privilege to be able to be in your inner circle and be in your energy in that way. That is what I am getting for you, pal 4. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video, please comment, and please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here and for listening, and I will see you in the next one.